let that ride for a minute because John really, really likes outlaw funk. So that's his baby.
Well, you tried to change the music. You played last show. You played a different music.
I did.
I looked over. John had the same look on his face
that I give to you all the time.
It's this anxiety. He had the anxious look that he had when I looked back at him. We were riding that little bitty airplane coming back from Aspen, little place called Aspen.
Yes.
And
nobody gets these dumb references.
We were in this little plane that was about the size of the tube of a
We're just going right into stories.
The side of the airplane was so curved, Nick had to sit like this.
Because I gave up my aisle seat because John was panic time.
Little anxiety.
Those little things hit the turbo. It's just like, wow, it's very bouncy. So
I got to be able to get out of my seat.
Welcome to Winter's Take, y'all. We'll go ahead and get the official business out of the way. We've been on a hiatus for
at least a month.
You think so? AP was our last guest, I guess.
Yeah, that was pre-Motocross to Nations.
And what was the date of it?
That's the week before.
Well, a lot has happened.
October 1st.
It's been three and a half weeks.
3.5 weeks.
Yeah. So a lot has transpired. We finally got our race done. We really we do have guests, so no disrespect to the people that are here, but normally we get some rock star of a guest, and tonight, no disrespect.
Not in the house.
What are you, chop litter?
I know. Heather
Let her have a microphone. Let her say it.
So no disrespect to Ryan Holiday, who is the team principal from Team Green Kawasaki, the amateur arm of Kawasaki Motors. We'll have Ryan on to talk just amateur motocross and what's going on in his world. Like he fields the team that's the feeder team, AAA team, if you will, for the pro team. So
leading to the big boys.
We'll get Ryan on, but we are here to talk about us.
The Great Escape.
I mean, I know that sounds super narcissistic, but man, we did a race.
We never talk about us.
We never talk about us. We never tell our stories.
We didn't talk about going to the Motocross to Nations.
Damn, I know.
We haven't had a show in forever.
You know what? I'm going to get out of the way.
John and I went to a whole different country.
I know, and they let you in, and you came back.
We could barely understand those jokers.
And guess what I got today? A ticket from driving in England.
We knew that you possibly got a ticket.
Yes, I got a damn email with a ticket.
So are you going to pay that junk?
$200? No, I'm
Hell no, you're not going to pay that.
Listen.
Come find me.
Yeah, I emailed them back and said, you don't try America again. Come on, bub.
We're 2-0, baby. Come on. We've already bailed you out multiple times.
We will knock those crooked teeth right out of your mouth. You come back over here.
The teeth are better.
The teeth are better there. They're better than...
Have you guys noticed, like the teeth, we busted on their teeth pretty hard, but I mean...
They're pretty straight.
Now, don't get me wrong.
My teeth aren't great. So.
There were some that were on the edge, but they were better. I think they got the fluoride or whatever.
We did confirm
it's crooked. It's not fluoride. Don't make your teeth straight. Y'all go ahead and get into your England.
We confirmed that the Renthal sprockets in England do have straight teeth.
They do have straight teeth.
And that was a very big
That was a great joke, by the way. So motorcycles come with sprockets, and on each sprocket has teeth. And we were like, the English version of the sprockets are going to be all crooked.
The teeth will be all crooked.
And the bike won't work. So that was our joke. And I thought it was fabulous. I cracked up. I haven't laughed that hard. Nick sent that one out there.
We had first-rate accommodations. Christina Denny told us to stay where Team USA was staying. She booked our room, which I didn't even know she booked. So I double booked and had to cancel. Nick gets a rental car. And I'm talking about the whole entire time he drove. I'm like, we drive on the left. We drive on the left. We're coming to an intersection. We're turning left. We got to look right, though, but we're going to turn left. We got to look right. Look right, Nick. And he wouldn't even look right, and he'd about kill us.
That's way harder than it sounds. Like, my whole life, I've thought, if I ever went to England, that's no big deal. I can drive I can drive anywhere, any side of the road. Doesn't matter. That shit was hard.
It was hard.
And it was very dangerous for John because he's sitting in the passenger seat.
Which is the side you get drilled on over there.
When I got the email from Hertz about my ticket that I got today, I don't even know what the ticket's for. They sent me a picture, and all I can tell is I'm on the wrong side of the road, which is
that's
the right
what
side
the ticket's
of the road. And so I still don't know what the ticket is.
It's a matter of perspective, sir.
I think I still want to call and say, what's this ticket for? If they can understand. First off, they have a real problem with a Southern accent, right?
Southern. You hear that Southern.
Lord.
He says Southern accent.
And John has real problems with the King's English.
I can't understand those English dudes. I'm like, when they start speaking, you can see me just lean in.
Right, I mean, on the side there, right? 2 lefts, right, yeah.
Basically.
Like,
And the
All I
roads-
heard was a lot of Max Anstey.
Not so
Yeah,
much.
it's
a lot of
and the
Max
roads are so
Anstey.
narrow.
Thurston
that
Hole.
The whole time we're driving down the road, there's hedgerows beside every road. Like they've been there for a
And
million
it isn't
years.
just rows of hedges. It's a vertical wall of limbs.
This 15 feet high.
Every car over there, the left side mirror, which is driver's side, just raked to
That's what I was going
bits.
to say. When I got the email from Hertz, I thought they were going to say,
What's up
"Hey,
with this
you
left
owe us
mirror?
$7,000 because you destroyed the left side of
Yeah, the conversion's
car."
not good. It's going to cost you so much more.
I
to
mean,
pay.
we curved like the first 30 minutes. I curved the tires 8 times.
Oh, he was clipping stuff so bad, and I'm just like, I'm sitting over there. He's shifting with his left hand, so hand stakes.
manual transmission.
Zero eating of hand steaks on this whole trip.
Nick's notorious for literally eating a steak while he drives here. I'm like, how did you eat this steak? He drives and just eats a big piece of meat, so he eats hand steaks.
Yes, but
no hand steaks on. in
He
England.
was millimeters from clipping stuff, and I was like, I can't just drive and be like, oh, look out, you know. So I just was like, if
Sit
it hits it and it sends this,
Insurance is good. Let's
if
let
it
it
sends
rip.
the mirror through the glass, and I'll just scream, I'm hit.
They were like, "Do you want the insurance?" I said,
Yeah, right, mate. You want insurance?
"Oh yeah,
Yeah, I need the insurance.
Absolutely, he does.
yeah,
Yes.
we need the insurance." like, and there was not one single time this whole trip when John and I walked to the car that we didn't walk up to the wrong side.
We but
every
the
time.
whole time.
Yes, every time. And he would let me do it. Like he picked me up at the airport at some point, and he just lets me walk to the wrong side
what
and
they call
watches me. That way, when I grab the door handle, I'm like, oh,
Idiot.
you're in this side. And I shut the door and go back
Hey,
around.
they with the rental car place, they're like, "Your car is on row D9," and we walk out there to D9, and that's actually where it was.
D9.
Yeah,
That's weird that you remember
I don't know. My
Ain't
stupid
no
brain.
Caterpillar Dozer, son. That's just D9.
But we walk up to it, and of course, I walk to the
Passenger side.
I opened the door, and I was like, "Shit, no steering wheel. Got to go to the other side."
Yes, we both did it. We both, and then we're like idiots over and over and over and over and over.
All right, so you want to get to the race?
But
or-
one more thing. No matter, even when we knew it was clear, we're like, yeah, man, we're good. We can go. He would pull out and still
Watch
have
out,
a panic
mate!
attack and slam on the brakes.
Scare you to death.
I about went through the windshield so many times because you cannot get comfortable.
Everything's a roundabout.
You know
There's
how
no
we
such
go
thing as
right
stop
on
sign.
red?
Sure.
Well, left on red is what you do over there, and you cannot get used to that.
Yeah,
It's impossible.
You going roundabouts the wrong way, and they're big roundabouts with 3 lanes, and these
Yes.
people
They don't let off. They just floor it in.
Get on that mic, Mick.
They're
Nick.
blowing their
There
horn
we go.
at us.
There we go.
Yeah, they're blowing our
everything they
horn.
can
Stop.
to,
I'm glad that's
so-
your mic. That's so great.
But listen,
Sure you wanna
we
use this one
before
too,
the
so-
race, we find Aaron Plessinger. We take him the Georgia Hare Hall
who is
of
one
Fame.
of our team? They're at the Olympics of motocross, is where they're at.
Yes.
we have 3 riders. AP is Aaron
We'll
Plessinger.
introduce you in a second.
Yeah, Heather's over here like.
You might want to explain
Yes,
the reason
so-
why.
We bring Aaron a couple of Winners Take Y'all shirts and a Georgia Hare Hall of Fame belt buckle.
We talked about that on the show.
Dude, he was so excited about that belt buckle you've never seen. Actually, you will see because we have a video. Christina Denny has a video of it.
Yes,
Did you know that?
the presentation.
The presentation
of the
we
buckle.
presented with
the
the
Georgia
Hall of Fame.
Hair Hall of Fame.
He
He's
was
got
stoked.
like a big mullet.
He's like, I'm putting this on tonight. And he was so happy about, hey, here it comes. I'm wearing this tonight. I don't know if he actually did, but we stayed at the same hotel as the riders. So every night, Cooper or Eli, they
was
would come
haunted.
by. Yeah, it was haunted.
It would have been good for your book. It's haunted. There was a little girl out front in a red
Oh.
jacket picking apples.
Are you staying here?
Talking to herself like I swear to God.
I'm
they-
looking at this girl.
Did they
and
hire her to
you
do
were
this?
the only one who saw her, right?
we believed we were the only ones that saw her.
We asked about
Nick
the front
goes-
door, and the guy goes, "What apple tree?"
Nick goes, is she a ghost? And it was really the funniest thing ever because it was a cloudy English day and she's wearing this
No
red
way.
little coat, picking apples and talking to herself. And we're both like, do we see
that
this?
real?
Do we hear this?
Is this an M Light whatever Shyamalan
Not just
movie?
barely talking to herself either. Like,
No, she was having
And-
conversing with the other ghosts.
and when I walked out there to get an apple, she was not there, and she didn't have. Where did she go?
yes.
She
There was
was just
nowhere
cool.
to go. She was in the middle of
No.
a 50-acre
Yeah,
field.
her parents called
She
her
was
home.
this big. She was by herself.
There's an answer to this.
Yeah, she's a
There's a very long.
she's actually thousands of years old, but she just never grew
Proprietor
past.
of the
Yeah.
hotel, sure.
So the boys from Team USA represented extremely well going into the last moto, and I know this race has been covered but they had a solid chance to win. And Eli grabs that dang start, and
You're like, here we go. We got a shot.
it was the coolest feeling. I mean, the crowd was pumped.
I mean,
you know,
John and I are standing over there with our hands over our hearts and the attention to
Salute.
I'm proud to be an American.
we're in a
Eli's out
sea of
front.
Australians, though.
Oh,
we
yes.
were in a sea
So
of
you're in the enemy
Australians.
zone. 'cause
And
they're-
they speak English too, just different.
I can
Sure,
understand them a little better than
Thanks
I
for
can the
clarifying
English,
that.
because they're more like they were like the castaways of England. So you know they were
Like
like the
us.
prisoners,
Sure.
and so
Yeah.
I'm more I'm comfortable with that level of redneck.
Sure.
Yeah.
But Tomac leading and everybody setting off smoke bombs for their country's colors. It's
Let me tell you, the fans over there are rabid, and it was
But it turns out those fans from over there are from everywhere because it's the Olympics of motocross. So you got
Yeah.
Ireland,
5
England.
leprechauns jumped the fence and started doing cartwheels in the middle of the track, and nobody ran out there and was like, "You
Beautiful.
got to get off the track."
that's the God's truth. They did a quarter
5
mile.
fat leprechauns from Ireland, dude, and they just started doing somersaults and
Every year they do.
If that had been our track last weekend, somebody would have said, "Hey
I would
man,
have
get the
kicked you
leprechauns off
Get
the
the
track."
leprechaun off this race.
Yeah, those dudes just jumped out.
leprechauns.
Ah, the leprechauns.
Everybody's cheering for them, and they don't even care. And like their flaggers, like obviously they're paid flaggers, and everybody's out there, and they're like, "Okay, we're going to do a song now." The guy doing sound, and they did "Sweet Caroline," and all the flaggers stop, and so
They
you got
stop and they wave their flags
and
and
do a
dance.
dance, and then the whole crowd, 30,000 people, are doing "Sweet Caroline"
It
in a
was more than
motocross race.
30,000.
In
Dun,
England.
dun, dun.
Yes.
Yeah, in England.
Yes,
Our
it-
song. Don't be claiming that.
It was amazing.
Stole
though.
it again.
So much energy, and we had the best of accommodations again because of Christina Denny. Catered meals, we're tea and crumpets.
We did have
dead
tea and
serious
crumpets.
tea and crumpets. They're
no
like,
joke.
"Hey man,
Do they stop the day for tea and crumpets?
At 4
They didn't-
o'clock,
they
your
didn't
ass is
stop
getting some
it.
tea and crumpets. Like John and I were like, we just had lunch. What are they making dinner again? And
You'll
it took
eat
us like
the
till
tea and
4:15 to figure out it was tea and crumpets.
They try to feed you to death because we're so goofed up on time schedule. We're eating breakfast at 1 a.m., lunch
Yes.
at 6 a.m., and now here comes tea and crumpets
At
late
10.
morning. Yeah, and we're dying. We're like, what is happening, man? We're so tired.
we ate more baked beans. They have baked beans with everything.
They ate baked beans for
Really?
breakfast.
That's our thing.
No,
Not for breakfast.
You get scrambled
Oh.
eggs and baked beans, and then sometimes
Really?
some kind of green pea mushy shit.
Oh, they dip their fries in mushy. What were
Green
they,
peas.
What do they
Like-
call them though?
I don't know
What?
like regular green like peas that you would put in mashed potatoes with gravy.
We got the fries. We got the baked beans. We'll
And if you
handle
go
that.
like you get a biscuit, like they don't have biscuits, but if
What
you got
did they call them? Something though, mushy something.
Brock Glover calls them mushy peas. is
Just
what
mushy
he calls
peas.
them.
Hey, did you get your mushy peas? Speaking of Glover, so he stayed at our hotel, man, and 6-time national champ, won the Motocross of Nations about 6 times as well. The
Just a
baddest
rock
of
star
the
from the 80s.
100%. And so he's kind of elusive. He's sitting at the table right beside us at first, and we're, hey Brock, and hey guys.
And
He
we've
kno-
met him in Mid Ohio.
yeah, he knows who we are.
Yeah,
Sure.
So
We thought he was big timing us at first.
at first, he really didn't have time for us. And then I said, hey, man, what about when you won that race in
And that
Switzerland?
wound him up and just let him go.
What about when you won that race in Switzerland? He stands up, he comes over, throws all his junk down on our table, and he goes, hey, man, you're never going to believe this, but with 2 card went up, my 490 starts fouling a plug. Of
course.
Sitting on the gate at the Motocross of Nations. Now, imagine traveling to Sweden or Switzerland, whichever it was, and the bike starts going bowl, 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 bowl. Glover has the idea, I'm going to turn the gas off because he's putting the 1 card up. You might as well turn the gas off, right? So he turns the gas off, and he's describing it, and it's like
Comes back to
starts
life.
leaning back out. So now it'll climb in the RPMs. The car turns sideways. He flips the gas on, grabs
Whole
the whole
shots.
shots and wins.
Of course.
Wins.
I mean, come on, man. That's
make
such
that
a cool
stuff up.
story.
It's
So
like the greatest story ever. He tells us over our mushy peas.
So we just take it to the next level, and every time we saw Brock talking to anyone, we were
He's
like,
telling that same
We're
story.
like, hey. So
Yeah,
the
turn
card
the-
went
turn the gas
sideways,
off.
and it finally started leaning out. So we're commenting as if we're
So
Brock.
every time we saw him, like, we would say a portion of that. Like we would be standing there. He was talking to Roger DeCoster, I think, at the KTM tent, and so
The Bill Belichick of motocross.
yes, and so he goes.
Yeah.
So he's standing there talking. And he picks his hand up and that makes a motion.
And then I told him, and I was like,
And John says, and then I turned the gas off. Like every time we saw him, we would come to a different part of the story.
Yes.
And then we like, so the best part, and for you here that don't know, the name of our show here is Winners Take Y'all, and it's a pun on a
Play on words, if you will.
A
movie
1980s motorcycle movie.
Winners take all, but winners take y'all
which
because we're from the
Brock
South.
Glover was in.
Yes.
Right, and so he was the 1980s pop collar polo short
Corvette driving.
tennis shirt Corvette 80s jerk in the
Surfer.
movie. And he has one real, like his real one line is he goes out. They don't even put him on a motorcycle. He was just good looking, so they put him in the movie. And so, not that there's anything wrong with that. And so
He lives
They
that
put
life.
him in the movie.
Nick doesn't even have a line.
We
He
don't
just-
even know.
And so in the movie, he comes up and gets out of the Corvette, and he's standing there, and his girlfriend he looks at his watch, and he goes, "Do you have any idea how long it took me to find this place?" And so
We can quote this movie start to finish.
So that's his main line. And so we're in the airport after the mushy peas and after this, we've seen him 100 times and told the story about turning your gas off and it starts working, which is the best story ever, by the way. We're not making fun of it. No. We were just making fun of it. And so we pull up at the airport. I'm standing on the line of the airport, and then somebody all of a sudden, which is England, so I wouldn't expect anybody to get in my ear. Somebody's like breathing that close to my ear, and he goes, "Do you have any idea how long it took me to find this place?"
He said that?
Yeah, in my ear.
Oh, that's the
from
best.
behind.
I didn't know that.
Dude, I couldn't stop smiling for like 30 minutes.
In the airport.
That is so good, man.
Yes, he was totally on board. It was amazing.
Dang.
And so then we were...
He sits in front of Nick on the airplane. Nick
well,
reaches
first
up.
we're in the Delta Club forever.
Oh, Delta Club. Yeah, we're talking in the Delta Club. But mostly, Nick sits behind Brock Glover and reaches up and starts messing up dude's hair. And Brock Glover might be in the running for best hair in motocross.
It's still there. It's
It's
glor-
perfect,
glorious.
He's
right?
a beautiful man.
Yeah.
Nick is rubbing his hair and like pulling on his head.
Brock,
and
you remember that time just shaking on his head? That's-
Dude, we've never. How do we become so confident with a guy that beat Bailey on a Works Honda with that air cooled pile of?
Because you're talking about Nick. He's an idiot. So that makes a big
I
difference.
mean, we should have a little more respect. He's like, "Hey, Brock Glover," and he's rubbing his hair, dude.
It's like you're messing my hair up.
John's walking back of the plane, and he doesn't know where we're all sitting in relation to each other, which wound up being
Right
right
beside,
beside each other. And so as he's walking back and Brock's sitting in front of me, and I see John kind of realize that that's him and that Brock Glover. Why did I just say just Brock? You always have to say Brock Glover. Like the
We
whole
do
thing.
have to say his full name.
And we call him that in person, too. We're like, "Hey, Brock Glover."
Yes.
What's up,
Brock
Brock Glover?
What are you doing later on? You want to get some food, Brock Glover?
You know, some
We
mushy
got food
peas,
with Brock Glover
Yeah,
every night.
Yes.
Nice.
We
And
went
so
everywhere with him.
John's walking back the plane. He looks and he's like, I can see. He's like, "There's Brock Glover." And I just started patting him, like petting his head.
Rubbing the dude's hair,
Was
man.
he purring? Like,
He was not purring like a kid.
dang, Brock. He fell asleep on
He
my
got
lap.
real. No, he never
we
fell
were-
asleep.
our
He was rubbing on
seats
my
were-
leg. It's all weird.
Like we were right near the bathroom. It was a giant airplane. This one wasn't a tiny puddle jumper thing. But we were right by the bathroom. And so we said something about Brock Glover about.
Get to it, Nick. Come
we
on,
were
man.
going, "Listen, we got 12 hours on that card." And so
Exactly.
Good point.
we said something about, okay, we're sitting right here by the bathroom, so we're going to ask everybody before they go in, do you have to go number 1 or number 2? If you got to go to number 2, then you got to go to a different bathroom because
This
this
is one only.
you're only number 1. So then Brock Glover starts saying that to everybody that comes up.
What?
I had no idea about this. I don't even know
He
about it.
said that?
1 or 2. We don't anybody take any big stinky shit in our bathroom.
Wow.
It's
That's
hilarious.
you got into Brock's pants, basically. You
Yes,
totally.
I went to third base with Brock Glover.
That's amazing that he was that loose with you guys.
Heck, he waited at the
great.
top of the escalator at the end and walked
Hell, we
us
got
to
off
our
the plane. Yes, he
walked us to
the-
customs.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he
That
was
is
happy
amazing.
about it. So obviously those stories about the motocross to nations needed to be told,
Yes,
right?
they
I
did.
mean, forget the race. America almost won it.
That is so funny.
Yes, it was a
It's
great.
amazing.
We had a great
Like,
weekend.
Yeah, we saw. I mean, of course, we stayed at the hotel, so everybody was
We
there.
saw Cooper buy a round of drinks for all the mechanics,
Good
Yeah.
man. Good man.
and he hopped in the truck and he had to go. And
People's
we
champ.
we saw
Hey, we went down a rabbit hole for about an hour and 10 minutes with Ryan Billapoto about just processed food in the world today. Like we were,
Yeah.
like,
RV's opinionated.
yeah. Billy, he's a talker too, son. He went at it.
Not afraid. So now, Kevin, we can switch
No,
gears.
no. I wanted that. We had not hit that yet, so I wanted you guys
Just
to cover
because
that.
you didn't go and we invited you and everything.
It's still the
pissed
greatest
off.
race of all time.
It
The
is.
Motocross to Nations matters. You can seriously feel a difference that Mike Pelletier, Paul Parabinos, and Christina Denny, and I don't mean in that order. I don't know which order who's pulling the most weight, but you can feel the difference. They bought this team hauler lounge thing that was like a big mobile office, and it was the Team USA headquarters. And she's like, I don't care where your motorcycle is, if it's under Yamaha's tent or KTM's tent, you're going to sit in here. And she had the track map on the wall broken down with certain passing spots and where to breathe. And, you know, maybe this is kind of secret
John and I
information.
wrote notes on it and told him what we thought after the first. We walked the
Yeah.
track, then we went in there and said, this would be a good spot to
Be a
jump.
good
Or
place to blink.
you were
This
like,
would be
hey,
a
man.
good this would be a good spot to pop a wheelie, man.
And you're like, man, they got really good corn dogs over here. And they're like, what? I
Take
need
a whiff.
race.
Enjoy the corn dogs
Right,
when
here's
you
where
get
they
there
got
because you
the-
can smell them just wafting across.
Best baked beans and scrambled eggs are on this corner.
Yeah.
And so
We did not add details, but Christina is doing all the work that will make America win this race for a streak at some point.
She'll
and
take
she
it.
was so awesome to us. Like we could just walk, like we didn't because it would just
No, she's like,
etiquette-wise,
lift
but-
the gate and come in. It doesn't matter. And I'm over here going, well, there's about 60,000 people out here that can't lift that gate when we don't have anything saying
We
Team
can lift the
USA.
that we can lift it.
Other than their tramp stamp, we had nothing that said Team USA, and so
Yeah, and
and that
mine
thing
was
was
still
that thing was
sore. It was
still-
like leaking and stuff. So I still had the cellophane.
Y'all got those while you were in
course.
England? They
Yeah.
make those over there?
No, we just told the guy what we wanted and sketched
Oh, you want
it out.
like a traditional American? Oh, yeah, we got that. It says traditional American on the back.
he says sweet. And mine
Right.
says
standard
dude.
American, you jerk.
What's mine say? Sweet. What's yours say?
Dude. What does mine say? Sweet. Okay,
Mine say-
that's the dumbest scene in all of history right there.
So
You know what movie they're talking about?
Dude.
Yeah, I do. Dude, where's my car, right?
Okay, eat that microphone.
Get some. There you
That
go.
is the voice of Heather Thompson. She is a reporter who wanted to cover. We will switch gears.
not us.
Journalist.
Is that talk now? Let me see if you.
Let's hear you.
She's a writer, journalist.
I don't hear her.
No, the doppelopalopel thing's taking the place of her. So let's fix that.
No, it's not.
This dude. Nope, it's not.
She's a horse trainer. She's a dog owner.
Talk into that thing.
I'll bet the mute.
Hello, can you
I'll
hear
bet
me
the
now?
mute button is hit. But this is such good radio. So while we
Can you hear me now? Can I hear me? Hello? Tell me. Wait, that's good. That was better. I can kind of sort of hear myself, but not really. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the cable. Do you have another one? It's the same connection on each side, right?
So that's 1, 2, 3. Nick's 2. I'm 1. You're 3, John. I got her wide open.
Yeah. You want to flip these?
Can you?
So just talk over me. We'll keep talking about this while y'all figure that out. But
Yeah, so Heather wanted to cover. We'll switch gears to the Great Escape, and it wouldn't be this show if we didn't have some jankiness, right?
Difficulties.
I can
Yeah.
sort of hear you, but I think I'm hearing you.
You're just
too.
picking up on his mic. That is, of course.
Yeah, it wouldn't be America.
we'll sell you this thing cheap.
Hey, what is any of those knobs there across the top?
That's for you. That's for you to hear. That's headphones.
Headphones. Okay. So Heather wanted to kind of get a glimpse of the Great Escape. She had learned about the Great Escape from Frank Mann as she did a story about
Frank Mann's a
Mann.
pilot.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Frank, he's a pilot. You may have to use Nick's mic.
Thump your mic. Let me just.
It's barely working.
Yeah, it's so small. It's very, 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 very tiny.
Yeah, go ahead and
Even I can't hear it. Wait,
go.
is that better?
Yeah,
oh,
there you
wait,
go.
there
here
it
she
is.
comes.
got
Sometimes it isn't just a cable. There's a whole screen right there with adjustments.
Oh my goodness, we learned it.
Plus and
we learned
minus
it
and-
today.
You're back. You're
So
All right.
Heather wanted to. So Frank, she covered Frank's efforts, Hurricane Helene, flying things in and out. And Frank must have mentioned this race. What made you decide, hey, I'm going to come out?
Well, what's really interesting is I got to talk to him and write a whole feature story about him, and he was actually at a race when I called
Oh.
him. So he was at a race, and
I did the story, posted the story, and I knew that he had his TikTok channel where he has videos of planes and stuff. And I'm trying to figure out the whole podcast because, everybody and their mother has a podcast.
You got to
these
have a
days.
podcast.
You got to have a podcast or you're not actually human. If you don't have a podcast,
If
what
we
are you
can
doing?
do it, any idiot can do it.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't figured
You
it
saw
out yet.
that you saw the troubles we
Yeah.
just had.
I don't even have one of those. I have a microphone in my computer, and that's it.
That's a start.
So I actually sent him a text, and I said, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out what to get camera-wise, and I know you use a camera for the flying." He goes, "Actually, I use whatever it was that he said, and I have no idea." He said, "But my really good friend John does a podcast.
Okay.
You should talk to him." And that's how we talked.
So that's how we started talking
That's
about the
how
race.
we started talking, and then we started talking about the race. And at the same time you and I were on the phone, Frank was actually texting me about the race, saying, "Hey, this would be a really good thing to cover because the news site that I write for, it's called Cobb Voice. For anybody that wants to go check out Frank's article, I started a series called Heroes Among Us. Frank's was the first.
Okay.
So I told him I was going to turn it into a series. So as I found people, because it's called Cobb Voice, that's where everybody is. And so I said, well, if you know anybody else, he mentioned the race. You mentioned the race. I was able to come, and it was really, really beautiful being there. But that's how I got I was like,
And
I'm
so
gonna go.
the Cobb County thing is me and Nick and Terry live in Cobb County. So
Yeah.
Kevin's an outsider.
I don't live in Cobb County either.
However,
I'm a Douglas County in.
Kevin is the reason for the Great Escape Grand Prix motocross that took place this past weekend under the bluest skies in all of history on the most beautiful piece of
And
property.
Real quick disclaimer: I don't want to bother. I appreciate you doing this, but we are our listeners. There's not a lot of us that can read, so when you send us places, we're all it's kind of.
How do we find on tape?
yes.
How do we? How do we
We're
find
all
that?
audio. None of us read very good.
I see, because it's got a picture of a fireball on it.
That's how we knew
you
what
know
it
which
was.
one
Yes.
yeah.
Me want picture orange, red, liquid.
We
Was that an angry Chinaman?
Sort of.
Okay. But so, Kevin, you envision this race, and we have yet to tell the people that he didn't ask us if we would help. He just broke it to us on the air that we're going to throw a race. And
He
me and
told
Nick
us.
are like, yeah, man, that'd
Yeah.
be pretty cool.
He
I'd do that.
he
But
got us liquored up, and it was like, hey, we're gonna
do this race.
in my defense, we had already talked about forming an alliance to open a track. In fact, we tried to do it together, and it didn't go very far in Bremen. So I thought you guys would come along for the ride. You were already kind of
We did.
sort of involved.
We
and you
did.
And you did. No, it's and I couldn't.
By come along for the ride, you mean like tractor seats and
Some of us kicking and screaming, but we came along for the ride.
Some of
Dude,
us.
I was
yeah.
kicking and screaming.
John,
However,
it's funny. John came along I think it was within 4 days of the race. I could see big picture. My wife, whenever we bought our property, it was trees, it was everything. I'm like, dude, I can see it all right here. I can see it, and I could see this race. I've done it a million times. John's like, you sure? You sure? I'm like,
I was
dude,
nervous, dude.
This is what my living was for 30 years. That's all I know. So I'm like, we got this. But John was like, he wasn't. He was super
I was
stressed through the whole
stressed.
process. And then there was one night whenever you finally finished mowing or something, you're like, all right, this I
I could
see
see
it
that
now.
it would be fun to ride. And once I
Yes.
saw that, I think I felt 99% better.
The funny part about laying that track out was dude, that's laying a track out. It sometimes takes years to you lay your initial track out, you tweak it and tweak it and tweak it till you finally have a version you love. And dude, we laid a track out, and I'm not tooting our own horn because it's me, you, and Kyle and Nick. That was our first version.
See?
Did,
And Nick.
A little bit of Nick.
How
How
much,
was that third wheel?
how much of the track did you build? I'm just curious. I've heard rumors. I'm not sure.
If you count riding around in a Jeep the first day
A lot
and
of
knocking it down, and if you count I did do the final, you know how you
He rode our version of the track.
yes, if you have a punch list and somebody goes over it and says, hey, everything's good.
Oh, he gave it his
You're that
blessing.
guy.
He was the guy.
I did
so-
stop on my way home from riding my dirt bike,
While we had worked all day.
And he gave it a test run.
And he
and I
goes,
gave it some test runs, and I was
Just
out
so
there.
everybody knows, it was Nick's wife who I had met once who broke the news to me and a
That I'm a
stranger
third
and an
wheel and don't do
outsider
nothing.
that her husband did nothing to build the track.
He searched for holes. We were looking for holes.
This
And he
was
found one.
after she found out that I was a journalist, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, and
let
cut.
me, can you write this?
Check.
Can you write something that I can use in the divorce?
Yes, he does nothing.
Yeah, a big slander article
He
about
does
Nick.
nothing.
Hey, Nick did search for holes because the day before
I
Let me
found
write
him.
that down.
I found a stump hole that was seriously
Oh, boy.
waist deep. It was
Don't
just
Don't write
wide
that
enough
down.
to put a.
Hey, that could
That's
be used in a
terrible.
divorce.
You better spell holes. You better put some. Okay.
Dirt bike track hole.
Yes, let's say stump holes
you go.
from former
In the
trees
terra
that used to
firma.
go.
This entire thing is on the record, by the way.
That's on the
That's
record.
fine. It is. It's getting recorded.
So I find
That's gonna get
these.
edited down to my court case.
Well, I find these holes, and I'm like, God, dude, if somebody would have hit that with their front wheel, I mean, it is over. So Nick, I filled that one in. I said, dude, just go out there, start on the left, do a lap, move over 2 feet, do a lap, just look for holes. And undoubtedly, that was it. That was just the one place.
It was good, and I was not to make it sound like, because I know y'all did a lot of work to run the tractors and shit. I just don't ride tractors much. So
Hey, I don't ride you fancy
I don't ride
tractors,
you
here.
tractors.
You know what I'm saying?
He
here?
thinks my track
He's
is
like,
sexy.
oh,
listen, ever since listen, I know from Seinfeld that you clearly can get gonorrhea from a tractor.
You
seat.
can. That's the tractor story.
And so I'm scared of those things. I don't want to take that. So
So,
I
yeah.
what was the girl's name? She was Lois Lane. That was you would know her though. She was
The blonde?
This is
the
a
blonde
real
was the
pretty
one
girl
that got
that was-
gonorrhea
yeah.
from.
It's not good radio.
The Lois Lane was from the race.
Guys.
Just
When
so-
Jerry raced his
Look,
buddy.
Seinfeld was just a little before me.
It's just a little bit
Just
ago.
a-
Just a minute ago.
Like I was Friends.
Clearly,
I
there's
wasn't
syndication.
Seinfeld.
Well, that's your bedtime must have been because Seinfeld came right after Friends. So your
it was my
bedtime.
it was my bedtime.
So anyway, I went out there and rode the track, and I got to
You
say
guys
that
are all Gen X.
I was like, I'm driving home from Big Springs, and I was called John. I said, I guess I'm going to go by and ride that track, and it was almost getting dark. I was, thinking, I still got to go home and unload this stuff and get my bikes ready for John to wash and service and stuff. And
Yes.
He's not exaggerating.
so I stopped there and I ride, and after I'm like 2 laps in and going side to side, I was like, God, this is so badass. Like, and I was just wearing like Vans and a helmet. And
Which is where you were headed.
yes,
that we were fortunate to lay it out.
To change, I think, 2 terms. We walked with string. This is the cool part. Like, John, when we ultimately laid out the track, it's hard. Like, there's different lanes that go all the way across, and you have to accommodate for the road, for getting water trucks in between the lanes. So you have to give yourself a lot of room. And like, man, this thing's getting a little close. We have to tweak this. We tied string to each other. 32 feet, we measured it. And
Tied a
string-
ribbon in the middle.
And tied a ribbon in the middle. And we just walked. And at wherever he was marking, and I was marking. We just kind of,
Found the edges.
it was wild. It was so wild.
And it wound up being perfect, like you planned it for years, because there was basically 3 main, but then 4 parallel straightaways.
I don't know.
That were just
Directly
like
straight.
when you
like,
looked at it, it was beautiful.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looked like you laid it out.
And we
it
did not do that.
Marked it with a computer.
I noted that. I was like, man, them straightaways are so straight all the way in a row. But
And we were just walking through the tall grass at that point. So it
Yeah.
is amazing that they lined up perfectly straight. But so you took that track idea to the landowner
yeah,
and said, hey, man, we need to have a race here. It's beautiful. And they just let that simmer for a minute, but they had medical needs.
yeah.
And their expenses start rising because of these medical needs. And then they eventually are like, yeah, let's have a race here.
Yeah.
And you kind of broke it to us on the air, and we didn't really know what we were agreeing to. We were very dumb.
I knew you guys, once you and Kyle, because Nick, I don't know if you were there, but I said, Andy, can my brother and can John meet Victoria? And we came out there, and it broke me down for a minute. I'm like, I teared up whenever I was talking to her, but I'm like, I want them to meet you so they'll understand all these hours they're about to put in. There's a reason for it. And I remember mowing. I was like, oh my God, I was on that. I was on
you
that
were
0
roasted
turn.
to-
I got so sunburned. And every time I would just drive by the house, and I knew what Victoria was sitting in there in that prison of a body that she has now. And it just like, man, it does not matter. None
yeah,
of that crap.
what we're going through is nothing.
Yes,
and I'll
it's-
say I felt that same thing because, I told you I was irritated and I was mad about the whole event. And then when I finally got it to where I could see that it looked like it might be pretty fun to ride, we can't help that there's been a drought and 40 hours in the water truck leading up to it
Easily.
just didn't soak in. But
You're cutting you short, man. It was awesome. Like Terry
We'll-
said,
we'll
I'll tell
circle
you,
to Terry Hunter,
you're worried
who's also
about
in
the
here.
little bit of tiny bit of dust. I've been to tracks.
I've been to races that are prominent races that'll be dustier than what we just.
I
and we-
learned a lot about myself during this because I've raced motocross for 40 years. You would think I know it's okay to have a tiny bit of dust, but when I'm on the water truck,
I
hey
want it
man, it's
perfect.
getting dusty over there. I got and
I'm that way too. I love it. I want it to
me
be
and
perfect,
Brooks
but-
and Dunn, Alan Jackson Dunn.
Yep.
Me and him were nonstop refilling those water trucks.
And this is funny. Like the first day you guys are running water trucks, the city manager of the water department, whatever, calls and goes, "Hey, what is going on out there? Stop!
You've sucked
You've
the
200
county
homes dry.
dry."
We had no water. They said, "Stop it." So we had a water meter. We were doing
200 phone calls. They weren't exaggerating. They
We
were
had
pretty
two
hot.
trucks, 2,000 gallons each, running continuously, and it shut that whole grid, part of that water system down.
It made their pumps lose prime,
Which is
we
awesome.
sucked it dry.
The county then goes, "Hold on, we'll find you another
New
line
line.
to get on." They got on that water line. There were no houses on it, and you guys finished out the event. I thought we were cooked. I thought at that point, well, that's a
And
big
I start
problem.
panicking because
Yep.
now I'm like, how
I gotta-
far is this next hydrant? How long is it going to take me to turn around these tanks? But I just learned that I'm super OCD. You can't provide a flawless racetrack
now?
all day, every day. Yes.
just now.
You just learned
Which
that.
is
just
why I
did that.
wash Nick's bikes.
'Cause you
Damn
can't have
He
He
idiot
doesn't
can't-
like the way I do it.
He don't do it good enough. Motor, your
we're
junk
not
needs
serious.
This is like when my dad cleans my guns.
to be. Yes, there's
Like,
a reason.
I don't even do it anymore. I just take
Here.
them to him and say, just
That's
you
it.
do it because I don't ever do it right for
Hey,
him to
you've
begin
got the
with.
I pull
master
up
of
with-
looking perfect sitting right beside you.
These guys, I pull up with every intention of washing my own bike and all that. And it's like this, like I've got the wand,
Move.
and I've got it, and it's like this. Hey,
like
let me hold
Ernest-
that for a second, and he
Ernest
gets it,
washing
and
a
then like,
bike.
yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. And it's not even like I'm trying to fake it. Like when I was a kid and you didn't want to do something, you're like, hey, can you hand me another set of pliers while you're holding a screwdriver? And they're
Yeah.
like,
Get out of the
that
way.
you know. Like this, I'm really making an effort. And
But hopefully people know, and I can tell you all day. I'll tell you, Troy Travis was incredibly complimentary and positive the whole day. I was kind of stressing out, like, hey man, I don't want this dust to get ahead. I want this place to be as perfect as we can give it. And then Josh King also, which a lot of people might know Tim King. He was incredibly fast. He was a neighbor of Billy Lyle's. Josh was super positive. He's like, dude, this place is fine. Just keep doing what
Keep
you're
doing.
doing. Yeah,
Just keep
you're
going.
fine. So Victoria decides to come out of the house at some point, and Kevin's like, hey, we're stopping and we're going to water the heck out of these straightaways closest to the house. And we're going to make it as a clean of an environment as we can give her. And, you know, we start getting behind on schedule. We were behind anyway, and no one cared. And I think, Heather, you kind of mentioned like something about that property has a bit of calming peace to it.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever in case you guys don't know this, everyone that's listening, I'm not motocross at all. I'm strictly.
Well, neither is this family.
I'm horses and so the minute I got on the property, it was just an overwhelming peace. It was this, and it translated through the whole atmosphere of the place. From the time I parked my car to the time I walked to the starting line to the time I went and was able to meet Victoria to the time that, you know, I saw them come out to, you know, being done for me personally, being done for the day and having to leave. It was just peace. And so if you walked onto the property carrying some type of baggage, you didn't by the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, really, truly.
We felt that.
Yeah.
Everybody was so cool.
Yeah, everyone was cool. And I can't say this enough, and it's, I think because I'm a girl, there was no garbage anywhere.
There really
I
wasn't.
watched people pick up other people's trash.
It was. I mean, yeah,
we were lucky to be there.
When the race was
Yeah.
over, I kind of looked around like, oh, we got to start cleaning up. And Kyle, everybody started riding around. I'm like, they found maybe half a
I
bag
think
of
he
trash.
found one tear off
It was
and
nothing,
something.
dude. It was nothing, and it was so respectful. And we mentioned that, but I say stuff all the time. I announce stuff all the time. People don't listen to me, but I'm like, please, this is not a racetrack. This is
It's
his family's home.
It's
This is
amazing. Like I had, okay, you guys
gives me
been to
chills
my
because that was
house,
one of my
but
favorite parts. The people
The
were so
property
respectful.
next to my house, we had a wedding at my house, and so we had people park when they parked these people on this other guy's property. And the next morning, I had to walk around. I picked up a damn garbage bag on his property
of trash from your
of
event.
people that were invited to a damn wedding at my house, and there was less trash on this 25 acres than I had.
1,300 people
Yeah.
for 3 days. Then
Yeah.
Well, you can see their house.
Yeah.
I think that's, I mean, part of what it is. We can all be disrespectful if we think we're doing it when no one's looking.
Yeah.
But you can see their house.
They're looking straight at
better
you.
not let me see you do it.
They're
'cause-
they're
Wow, where
looking,
are.
you know, it's kind of like when you're driving in the car and you just passed a sign that said littering is $1,000 fine, and somebody throws a McDonald's cup out of the
Right.
window, and you just want to pick it up and throw it back at them.
Yeah.
Right. It was everyone was watching. Everyone was, and it was just a really great event. If that's my only exposure ever,
Don't ever go to another one.
I know.
'Cause they're
I was
not all
if
like
that's
that.
my only
Don't go
race I
until next
ever
year.
go to.
Yeah,
No,
just go next year.
No joke. I have the
to go.
highest respect for the motocross community because one, you came together to help a family that isn't even part of it, and two, you guys cleaned up after yourselves. Good
Yeah.
job. Like,
Yeah, the place looks
it
immaculate.
looks amazing.
Right now, everything is mowed. It's all pretty. And
I felt like Feld is a company that does all the races you see on TV. So as soon as the race was over the next day, we had 8 or 9 of us out there,
we
running
probably had
tractor,
90% of
and
it.
it was done instantly. It was
They're
done.
probably going to be calling us when they hear about this, I'm sure.
Feld.
Yeah,
Yes.
Feld.
Yeah,
Everybody.
we need you guys in charge of everything.
I'm
So-
pretty sure we're going to be running everything
Well,
after this race. It was so good.
But the race went great, and leading up to it, there was that one person, like I put a post up like, "Hey, here's what we got going on. Here's some of the highlights of what you can and can't do this weekend." And there's no pit bikes. Pit bikes are a way of getting around
Just
the
a
racetrack.
mode of transportation.
Small little bikes.
That's what they're supposed to be.
They're supposed to get you from point A to point B, but people start going into people's yards. I told Andy, I said, look, move your trampoline inside your fence because people will jump on it. Move the slack line you have out there because they will play on it, and just move all the things you care about out of the way because people are so disrespectful at most of the races we go to.
Well,
And
the problem is that the pit bikes are supposed to be for a pit bike. So you take it
Transportation.
and go from your parking spot, your motorhome, whatever. You ride it over to the Porta John.
Or
you
to
ride
sign
it over
up
to
or
sign up.
something.
You ride it over to check the race order, all that. What turns out happening is
they will pull into Andy's property. They will jump in his pool. They will do dumb stuff.
and
And
then
I will
you get a million
strangle
kids
somebody.
that their parents
Don't
turn
care.
them loose on these bikes. And what happens when you turn a lot of 12-year-olds loose on little pit bikes? They raise hell.
Lord of the Flies.
Yes, they
Yes.
go everywhere.
Yes.
Yes, they go.
So you
put a
kind
pig's head
of
on a stick.
said
I said no pit bikes. I said we're not doing pit bikes at all.
we don't need pit
I've read a
bikes.
book.
So
One.
we don't need the pit bikes. It's someone's
And the
personal
Old Man of the
farm.
Sea, don't forget that.
You know, it's not a regular motocross track. So there was some heat about that, right?
Yeah, and this one guy starts going off in the Facebook comments, and everybody's like, dude, it's a family property. Like, what are you talking about? And ultimately, I just said, hey, you have enough information now to change your plans accordingly.
Yes.
Which
sir.
I was saying, please don't come.
He never came.
He never came.
But every single time on Friday night and Saturday morning, anybody said anything about pit bikes, I'm like, hey man, what's your name?
You Brian Carter? Because you please be that guy.
I was so ready to let it rip. So
Well,
One-
and luckily, there were a couple of guys on Facebook, Sean McKay being one of them, that responded to the guy very eloquently and was like, eloquently, this is the problem.
That's a good
big
word.
word,
And so
big
the-
writer's
the
word.
issue was that they suffer fools very well, evidently, and they
I do
were able
not.
to.
Some people suffer them better than others.
Yeah.
I want
We have-
Kevin wants to call them out. I
we
would like
rank-
to.
Well, the first I'm driving and looking at Facebook on the same time while I'm going to work, and I see that, and they
So
pass-
it's like I'm on text and drive,
They-
son. I've been living.
they
I'm
pass-
pretty dang healthy. I should survive any kind
they
of crash.
pass. That's legal now. I saw it. And
Facebook
so
only those. That's the only.
I'm trying to
You
call
get caught
them
on some
that
other
morning.
app.
I'm like calling them. I'm like, hey, can I respond to this guy? Can I,
I said,
respond
do not
to this
do
guy?
it. Don't do it.
And I just
I had
wanted
to
to
stop him.
all
But your
I wanted-
response was proper.
You're a dick.
Sean, you suffer fools better than other people.
Yes.
Because meaning you would strangle the dude, right?
It just, you know what? It just was dumb. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even coming to the race. Shut up.
No, you knew he wasn't coming. No one
No.
dogs an event and then shows up.
And he was like, you could tell he was like, listen, he's one
He's
of these
older
guys
than I am. Like arguing with me
He's
about riding
the-
a kiddie bike. Like
listens to, and I'm not picking on podcasts, and I don't want to make Joe Rogan
No.
mad, but he's a Joe Rogan.
Don't make Joe Rogan mad.
He listens to, like, he thinks he's evidently more than what he is, because he's like, I'm the opposition. I will be heard. And I'm like, you're the opposition to
A charity race?
event?
Like, what kind of
You're
opposition?
the opposition to a charity.
Could you
event.
have
explain?
it.
Like, I just wanted to see him in person and say, could you explain that to me?
Yeah, I'd
that
like to
you're-
know about your opposition.
What he said that like 3 times. I'm like, what do you think's being heard? That you're a dick? Like,
Well-
is that's what's being heard? Like, I don't.
So fortunately, no
Now,
one cared.
Next time
about
you
this.
see me and I got a black eye because this guy.
You're
beats
not going to
my
have a
ass,
black
but-
eye. You're Nick Blackman, son.
So
Nick Black Eye Blackman.
Nick Black Eyeman. But no, the event went as good as we could possibly run it. Even if there were issues, people didn't express them, and they were. I heard a million times, "No, you just keep the change." There were people at the gate that would hand an envelope to Kyle's wife or your wife, and
Yes.
and just go, "That'll cover it." And you'd open the envelope, and
Like
it would be
$300.
that. No,
Yeah,
it
or
would
more
be
than that.
thousands.
Oh, we got one at the sign up. The guy hands an envelope for sign up for his 2 kids to race. Envelope had $2,700 in it. You know
Dude,
what I mean?
people
Like,
didn't.
people
They
came
were
out.
in a giving mood, and that was what I hoped.
Like you said, though, it's the motocross community. They came out. We had
Yes.
great people. It was a great vibe, and I think that it goes to what we talk about with the motocross is aging, right? So there's not as many kids.
The
as there
biggest
used to be.
classes are the adult
The
classes.
vet classes.
Yeah.
So it's about these vibe events. Like I'm not sure. I told Kevin's so good at this with what he does that he could take that on the road and just have vibe
Well, I'll
events.
tell
with
you, your
somebody.
biggest problem, you didn't play no Vern Gosden, you didn't play no George Jones on your radio. No, it did have a vibe. It had a good vibe. It had a positive vibe.
Yes.
And Victoria came out on the driveway, and people just surrounded her, and she was exhausted on Monday morning.
Yep.
She was exhausted because she saw people that had no idea who she was, and she didn't know who they were, but they were letting her know. And some of them she did know, but there were tons of people that just wanted to say hello.
And thank you.
I was
Yes.
telling you this guys. I had a guy that works with me that came, and he was like, "Dude," I said, "I'm sorry I didn't get to spend a lot of time with you. You know, I was busy that day."
riding 7 classes.
He goes busy that.
And so I had 9 motos on Saturday.
You know how you do when you just show up and race 9 times. It's cool.
Let me tell you, that 30 minutes plus 2 laps almost killed me. And then when I punted the tree on this side, it was. But
Nick did hit a tree at full speed, it seems, or at least braking towards a turn.
yes, it was. It felt like somebody threw a basketball and hit me in the head with it. You know, you see that white flash like when you get hit in the
Yeah, I know all about it. And your cheeks are hot after you get hit in the face with a
playing
baseball.
dodgeball or whatever.
Playing
You
volleyball with a basketball in 12th grade.
Yeah. So, but he was like, I saw 15 people I know. You know, people I haven't seen in 20 years, and he has nothing to do with motocross.
Yeah. So another thing was, Kevin, you invited all the Georgia royalty of motocross.
Yep.
We had Barry Higgins as the Grand Marshal, the first paid motocrosser, a dude that beat Roger DeCoster straight up.
Lives
Which-
3.8 miles and was offended that we organized this race without even him. He goes, I wanted to be way more involved. And
Hey,
he,
Barry came out there and worked his ass off.
no,
too.
he did.
He showed up at 5:30 in the morning to pull
On
pennants.
Monday. This
On
man, we
Monday.
didn't ask him. He was there at daylight
And
to
he
pick stuff
raced.
up and clean stuff up.
I was thankful I got to see Barry Higgins on a
He
Mako.
did more than I did.
He did.
He might.
He did. But
And he's 79.
He's 79, but Barry had a great attitude. Of course, we named a jump after him.
Yeah.
The Harry Biggins.
Yep.
And we had his angry face from Mammoth where he was just in disgust.
Did anybody like? I'm hoping like people.
Nobody
were,
even said
like
anything.
that's some of my favorite stuff. It's so subtle. Like, if I was there, I'd be riding up a straightaway going, "The hell is that 8 foot tall face of a
Old
guy?"
dude.
Even if I didn't know what it was, I'm like, "What is the story of that? Like,
Well,
why, you
Eli
spent
Harrell-
$300 on that? Like, why did you do this?"
And
Eli-
Kevin's so mean to Barry, he's going to just get the shit beat out of him one day by Barry.
Oh, it's gonna
And
it's
we're just
gonna happen.
We're just going to watch. I'm going to let.
So-
listen, how many blows do you want us to count before we stop Barry?
He can get all
Can Barry
he wants.
be stopped?
No,
And
you
that's
can't,
really
no,
the key.
because if you say,
I deserve every bit of it.
so if you say
100%.
4 blows, we let him hit you 4 times before we
He
stop.
needs
the
to
fight.
kill me.
He
okay
does
that.
need to
He
kill
does.
you.
That
So-
morning though, the night before, I'm like, Barry, we're gonna put all this stuff at your house. All of our infrastructure from the race went to
We
his
need to
house.
store it at your house.
Can we store it there? And he goes, he comes up to me and goes, hey, if you want to store it at my house, you can come back and get it next year. And I'm like, Barry, are you going to be around next year? And he goes, are
Because
you?
we're not dealing with probate
But
court.
and half a second later, he goes, are you going to be around tomorrow? I'm like,
he's gonna kill
touche,
Kevin.
my friend. Well done.
But
And
listen,
listen. And then we're at his house, and he shows us this awesome picture of his dad racing, and
Yeah, the
Kevin's
picture I showed you
dad
guys earlier.
flagging.
Yeah.
We showed you earlier.
Harry Higgins.
Harry Higgins and King Kelly.
Did you know
And
that?
so
Harry Higgins?
Kevin goes, Barry, listen, you've got to will that picture to me. So when you die,
Yeah, you
gotta-
need that, Kevin.
You need to will that. Oh yeah. And Barry goes, yeah, but you got to outlive me first.
Dude is excellent.
good. He's great.
amazing. So the jump, the Harry Biggins, Eli Harrell hit that in sixth gear on a 125. And he's got Barry's disgusted face staring him down as he's giving every
piece
ounce
of crap. Like, yeah, that's what I wanted.
Exactly.
People. Yes.
That's really the thing about this whole jump. And then, you circle the tree turn and you hit the Great Escape. And, I believe everybody was ultimately happy with the event. But you had invited these big guns. So we had Barry Higgins, Keith Turpin,
Ezra Lusk.
the Bullet, Billy Lyles.
Billy
And
Lyles.
that's really where I want to bring in Terry Hunter. Terry custom painted a helmet that was a raffle. We raffled tickets for it all weekend.
I think that brought like $700 or $800 too.
yeah,
right?
$700 of raffle tickets.
Helmet was donated to us from Parts Unlimited. Kyle got it for us, I think, or a shop. Somebody else gave it to us.
And then Terry, of course, made it a Steve McQueen classic. But when the Bullet Billy Lyles is eating fajitas on Friday night at Andy Alexander's tent, and he reminded me of a fact that I didn't remember, but the B team, 92 Manjimup, Australia, the B team won by the biggest margin at the Motocross Nations of all time. It with Billy Lyles on the 500.
Jeff Emig, who else? Kidrowski?
Larocco.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was considered America's B team. But they won by the biggest margin that still hasn't been beaten today. And that's the kind of stuff you'll get when you're sitting around like just talking trash. Well, up walks Greg Reed. And this was my favorite.
Hey, listen, if we got a real bad blood, Terry doesn't have to, you know what I mean? I don't want to
Terry don't have any. He's been repaid. He's been made
I don't
whole.
want Terry upset.
I heard those stories.
He's been made whole on this deal.
This hat from
I
40
got
years
over
ago.
that years ago.
Terry, what year was that Trans AMA at Road Atlanta?
78, right?
1981.
Okay, so it was
Okay,
a
well,
late
listen,
Trans
I'm gonna
USA.
I'm going to tell you right up front. I love Terry. I think we may be related somewhere down the line.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think so.
You had people throw your junk in a fire before?
Yeah. So he says he's over it, but when Greg Reed, how long has it been since you've seen Greg Reed?
Seen him at Barber a few weeks ago.
Before that.
A few years.
Okay. He walks up. Terry immediately grabs his hat and said, "You owe me a hat, motherfucker."
It
So,
was a bell ray.
so in 1982, 81, Trans USA Road Atlanta Motocross, which at that point the series was starting to fade, but it still had some big names.
Yeah.
Terry probably drinks a little too much. Greg Reed just walks up, grabs his hat, and throws it in
His
the fire.
brand new bell ray hat, throws it in the fire.
Just throws it in the fire. Okay.
Terry, how old are you? Like 15?
Nah.
17.
Yeah. 7.
He's way too many beers in. Way
Yeah,
too.
and Greg Reed just wastes a brand new
In
Bell Ray hat.
1982, what kind of beers would it have been, Terry?
Pabst.
Bush?
No,
Budweiser.
Mother's
It was
Milk.
Budweiser.
Budweiser.
Mother's
Okay.
Milk Red Budweiser.
All right, so Greg Reed, everybody knows who he is in Georgia. He's been a long time shop owner. Then he starts telling these stories about that particular night, about just sticking dudes' feet. A lot of dudes drank a lot.
There was a guy sitting there by the fire, and he was sloppy drunk, sitting in a little fold-up chair. So Greg walks up.
And I got to this is a 1982 fold-up
that
chair too.
mic.
It couldn't.
It
have,
is. It's
it
the-
couldn't have been. It's not like the one you get at Academy Sports now
it's
for
not.
$5
Yes.
that folds up in a little.
It's
bitty spot.
aluminum
It's
with webbing.
It's it's aluminum webbing, or it's the kind that they hit you in the head with in WWE or whatever.
Yes, those are the only two
It's
choices.
a church.
Yeah,
banquet
dinner
chair.
on the grounds kind
Yeah.
of thing.
So the poor guy was sitting there trying to warm his feet up because it was pretty cold outside. And,
Yeah, this is fall.
yeah, and Greg takes and leans him into the fire and burns his feet.
Because that's what you do to somebody
That's
who
what
drinks.
good friends do to each other.
Yes.
The poor guy was so drunk, and he would moan and groan, and
Kill you.
So that went on a long time, and then Greg would
Caught
take
his feet on fire.
a hot dog and stick it in the guy's mouth. The guy would,
No.
he was sloppy drunk, and the guy would bite it.
Bite it and start chewing. And so just to hear Greg,
Which is also a cautionary tale.
Greg was probably 20 years old at the time or something.
That's your
He's-
natural instinct is to just.
Greg is still excited about the dude. He goes, man, and that dude just started chewing on the hot dog. And this is 45 years ago, and he's still like, dude, he didn't know what was going on. I burned his feet, and I just stuck the hot dog in his mouth, and he just started chewing on it, man. Can you believe that? Like, he's still, to this day, blown away.
Let me tell you, that's
dumbest
just
thing.
goes to show you that they're like, we laugh and we do, like, it's amazing.
We're not mean.
We had the
No.
time we had without camper karaoke this weekend. We never
was
got to that.
unfortunate.
Everybody's like, what's up with RV karaoke?
We do RV karaoke in the at the highest level.
I'm like, dog, I'm going to bed. Y'all
couldn't
better
do it.
get
I
out
was
of my
so
way.
tired.
Recording artists.
Yeah,
we
oh,
are.
should
We have
invite
so
me
much
next
fun.
time.
You can do
wouldn't
it.
Understand. It's we have more fun
I get it.
with the
It is
RV
the
karaoke
best.
and
But I love that moment with Greg Reed. So if we circle on around, Terry, every single thing in this basement, pretty much Terry did. Every motorcycle, every helmet, we're painting right now, so everything is taken down. But you painted a helmet just to give away. Like,
Yeah.
sort of go through the process
He
of,
used his tool just like we did. That's his
Yeah.
tool, man. He wanted to help.
yeah.
Well, when I first seen the post that Kevin had posted, I said, you know,
You were the
thing-
first person, one of the
Yeah.
first to reach out. How can I help? I want
be
to
a
do
part
something.
of it. Which back in the day at Bremen, I always tried to be a part of it. With
that
my
means
coaches.
Terry's a good
So,
human.
He's a good
100%.
dude. Yeah, there's no
It,
doubt about
it
that.
brought me back to racing.
Let's
after-
eat that. Eat that.
Brought
I
me
know it's
back
a
to racing
uncomfortable-
after 4 years, and
Yeah, you haven't
the-
raced in 4 years.
No, and the event was awesome. Like Heather said, you could just feel the spirit around
It
everybody.
was all positive.
right.
But you painted that helmet like, I mean, how many hours did you have in that thing? I know you've done the most complex custom helmets ever created. But
I've never kept up with hours. I just
Lots.
Just
but he didn't do it in 1 hour. Let's put it
No.
that way.
maybe a week or two. at
See,
most.
that's kind of what I'm getting at. So Terry comes to the table with, hey man, I'll paint you a helmet to give away. We'll raffle it off or whatever. And
I love the guy who won it.
Yeah.
yeah, what was
It's one
his
of your
name?
good customers,
One of his
right?
best customers.
Daniel
Yeah.
Sullivan.
Daniel Sullivan. So
Yeah, and I
cool.
recently painted a modern helmet for him, and he had told me at Barber the week before. He said, "I'm going to win that helmet."
oh man, that's,
Oh, that's
cool.
so
And,
good.
I said, "I hope you do." You know,
Yeah.
so he's-
Danny Sullivan.
And it was a
he's
Bell
great kid.
Moto. It looked like the old Bell Motos, but it had way more padding than we had when we were
Yeah,
kids.
for sure. For
Than
sure.
what I wore.
Yes,
Does he
and
go
what
by
you wore.
Danny Sullivan? Because you know there's an Indy 500 right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winner's
Not him.
named Danny Sullivan.
But I think one thing that's underestimated is I always call you the Troy Lee of the East Coast because like people don't realize the level of artist that you are. I mean, you can draw anything, you can restore anything. You've done cars.
His
you've done
daughter is an incredible artist who is
100%.
telling us she's
Trent is his
And my
son
son
is
is
graphics
also-
company. Yeah, it all runs right through your.
Tiffany and Trent are both talented. I mean, it's not something that it just happened. Like you guys have this in your bloodline, right? So, like this. Describe this helmet, this number plate. This is an early '80s, I would say, factory replica type.
What year would you think? 82.
Yeah, hold that up. Let's see.
Steve Wise.
1982. Daryl Schultz.
There you go.
There you go. The muscle, Daryl
Steve
Schultz.
Wise. All the
But sort
David
of,
Bailey.
but yeah, David Bailey, right there, early '82 something. So, well, I mean, what was this?
It was.
It
Just
wasn't a number plate.
No, it was just a flat piece of polypropylene plastic.
Yeah. And then, how'd you get that mesh?
Uh,
This is my favorite thing.
What'd you steal
Go ahead
off
and
of?
say it. It's cool,
no,
man.
this didn't come from the ceiling vents like you thought it did.
Oh no, okay.
This is just a piece of mesh I had laying around. I
But it's a
guess.
Target trash can more than likely.
Well, sometimes, yes.
Sometimes.
That's cool.
Terry made a '79 YZ250 for me, Bob Hanna replica, and the side panels needed to be opaque, where you could slightly see through a
Yes.
little bit translucent.
Yep.
Like
So-
the front number plate.
Yeah, like this front number plate on this Jeff Ward mini bike right
But he
here. So-
also did.
Yes. So Terry's like, you know what's that color? Those 5-gallon buckets. So he would cut a 5-gallon bucket and like heat that thing up and make it flat. I mean, you know how you do.
Sure. Not me, no.
Dude, the thing is 100% just like a
Locked in.
YZ250
Yep.
side plate, but he did it out of a bucket. I mean, I don't know how to do all that, but he does.
That's why he's an
and
artist.
he'll never brag about it.
No.
I wonder, like, this is one thing, like, Terry's got if you can see it on camera or whatever, maybe he's not going to show it
He
to
looks
you.
like
He's
Kevin
real shy.
Costner. He's a
But
little
he's
bit like
got
Yellowstone.
Yeah,
A
Mr.
lot of
Dutton.
people tell me that.
Yeah, he's Mr.
Correct.
Dutton.
Yeah, Dutton.
So he's also sleeved down his left arm. So how do you get somebody? Who did you pick to do your sleeve? Like, I would be so afraid to
Because
do
he's an artist.
Because he's an artist. Like,
he's opinionated, right?
yeah, it's like singing "Happy Birthday" to John.
Elvis.
Well, I mean, it started out as just a small one, and then I wanted more. So, really, nobody in particular.
Have you ever done any tattoos other than mine and John's tramp stamps?
Before they
but
went to
I've
England.
always wanted to.
So he wished for more tramp stamps is what the signal is.
Some of the stuff that like even happens at the races, it's not so much for me. Motorcycling is 10% racing, maybe 20. The rest is the camaraderie, your buddies, your
That's for
friendships.
you,
and-
son.
well, whatever. I don't.
The
ride
rest
much.
of us was going for it.
Well-
and we was trying to win something.
But even still, you know what I'm talking about. It's
100%.
so little riding. Like some of my favorite stories were we're just getting we're getting things ready. Nick's like he's our resident blonde. Nick pulls in.
Why
Just follow
can't you
me.
just have blonde
wait.
hair, dog?
Just wait. Stop. Just let me. so-
let him tell it. You
And I'm
idiot.
standing there with Barry Higgins, and it's crispy. It's 7 a.m. Dew's coming up. The generators are running. The fires are going, and Nick starts to just unload. So we bust Barry's balls all the time.
He
And you don't-
told everyone in Mammoth Mountain, California, that Barry came over on the Mayflower to race motocross.
Yeah.
The Verb Moto guys rode up the Great Escape Grand Prix motocross.
Barry
that
helped
the
settle
gr-
Georgia in
He was
1788.
one of the founding fathers of
Yeah.
the state of Georgia in
I
1798.
went so far as to say he was on the supercontinent of Pangea and Gondwana when they split apart, and he had to choose.
He had to choose
North
which side to
America,
jump.
and he jumped on our side, thankfully, or he would have been a Russian motocross star. But anyway, long story short, we're standing there. I'm like, and I see Nick's door come down on his trailer. I'm like, oh, that's gold. There's bikes thrown down to the ground, nothing strapped down. I'm like, Barry, here's your chance.
Barry, look.
He goes, what? I'm like, your brain doesn't work like mine. Bust his balls. Those bikes
No.
should be strapped down.
And I told you I'm already afraid of Barry.
He goes, please don't let anybody see this.
I
Please
let
don't
the
let anybody
trailer
see it."
back the back of the trailer down, and when I do, I've got the CR250's laying on its side.
All the bikes are down.
Spilled gas
And I'm like,
shit everywhere.
yes.
And I know Barry and Kevin are behind me, and as it's coming down, I'm going,
Yes. I'm like,
please,
Barry.
please don't let them look over here. Please
I'm like,
don't let
this
them
is
look
my
over.
favorite moment.
And then I hear him go, Barry, look.
Get him. And Barry goes, what are you doing, man? I'm like, there you go.
What's
Barry.
wrong with you?
Did you have a fucking kindergarten load your bike for you? And I'm like,
That was my first
no.
favorite moment.
Yes.
My second favorite moment was Michael Brock, who's the best friend of Andy. He hangs out and he's drinking with his wife. They're watching the Georgia game, the bonfire. It's going great.
Yeah, we had a band and
We had a
played
band.
the Georgia game.
Yeah, thanks to
Yep.
David Sutton. So we had the band playing Saturday night. We had a bonfire. The Georgia game's playing. And Michael proceeds to drink a lot. Like he drinks a lot. And whatever, it's his
It's
property.
time.
He's walking. He can
He's
walk
home.
back home.
He's at home.
So he goes home and he's hungry. And he doesn't know this till 24 hours later. But he goes, man, I get in there and I cook these nuggets up. I eat them. And he
Put
goes,
it in the microwave for a minute and a half.
for a minute. And he goes, man, it tastes like crap. But the next day, that night, he goes back in. He goes, these are raw. Like he ate raw chicken the night before.
The
he
whole
didn't know
thing
it.
of chicken
They
nuggets,
were
like a whole-
He
breaded.
only cooked it for a minute and a
He was
half.
not
No,
a
he-
small boy. He didn't eat 3.
He's big.
Yeah, he ate the bag.
So he texts me the next day. He goes, man, I ate raw chicken last night. I said, how you feeling? He goes, I didn't even know it for 24 hours till I saw, because he tried to eat them again.
Yeah.
And he realized
Those
they're
were
raw.
okay.
And he goes,
Oh,
Kelly,
wait.
he goes, these nuggets taste like shit. Is what he told her, but he ate like 14 of them.
That's
And
terrible.
he didn't die. He didn't get salmonella.
That's
poisoning.
salmonella demons full of shit.
Nothing.
I missed all that because I was in the bed.
Well, he just told
That's one
me.
of your
He,
demons,
he told me on Monday. He goes, "Man, I ate raw chicken." I'm like, "You got to."
That is gnarly. Yeah, that's his intestines.
So those are my two favorite moments. They had nothing to do with dirt bikes.
Well, mine was Greg Reed telling that.
Yeah, that's what made me
story,
even think about
and
my
Billy
favorite.
Lyles and Motocross to Nations. There's just Billy's face looks exact. His face hasn't aged.
His hairline is
He's still got all the
ascended.
hair.
Yes,
He's
his,
still got a
his hair's gotten closer to his eyebrows. Like, how's that even happen?
His hair went the
It's
other
growing,
way. It's
like-
growing forward.
I can
He
barely
has a
see his eyes.
preceding hairline.
A preceding.
How's that work?
It is a preceding
He's
hairline.
the Brad Doherty.
That's a frameable quote. You have a preceding hairline. There's nobody with a preceding.
so thick.
Barry
Him and
or,
Brock Glover.
whatever his name, Billy the
Billy,
Bullet
yeah.
Lyles is the only one. And so, Yeah, I just think like having all these people together. Gregory I would have never heard that story if we didn't have this race. That happened in 1982, and he's still stoked about burning dudes'
only
feet.
42
He
years
can
ago.
tell it like with such clarity and from 1982. Like even Terry, like everybody, and he was hammered drunk.
Terry's
Everybody
still
knew
mad about this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's still, he
He,
says he's not mad, but Terry's still mad.
He had
As he should be.
He had someone get me a Bel-Ray hat years ago. And
I heard that he was
sent
given
it
the
to me.
hat. It was replaced. They tracked him down.
It
gave
wasn't
him
It
the
was
good
hat.
at
enough, though.
Supercross.
Was it?
Yeah, for the Legends.
Parts
and Heroes.
Unlimited
Yeah,
rep
Parts
or something.
So
Yeah.
it took like
Jason.
27 years for him to get his Bel-Ray hat
Hey,
back.
fences
He
were
did.
mended, sir.
Could you imagine when you're a kid, somebody throws your hat away? Like that, no telling what he spent to get it. It's probably $12 or something, you know, and as a day's pay.
You'd be
or
proud of
something.
shit too back then, man. If you had
I
like
was
a,
worried more about the kid's feet that was in the fire.
Terry did have concern.
He caught on
Greg
fire.
did not. Greg was
No.
thankful that he roasted this dude's feet and the guy bit down on the hot dog.
And he,
yes.
He's sitting there going like this with a hot dog, and he's like, man, and
Hey.
the dude just started chomping on it.
It was as funny to Greg Saturday night as it was in 1982.
Oh, he was still
I
stoked.
assure
I'm
you, like,
telling
that
you.
shit was
I
funny.
saw energy in that dude that probably he hadn't shown in years. So.
But he's energetic though. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
That cat's wide open.
So I want to circle back to the race and just say, like, in terms of like our families, like I told my wife, I'm like, it was so cool to, and Casey, because my kids have never hung around with me whenever we were running the races, and they're like, man, that was cool to run the racetrack with you and get to work with you, because I always worked with my dad growing up the whole way through. So getting to have all my kids there, my brother was there.
Both brothers.
Both my brothers, both their wives, their kids, they were all out there doing stuff. Your wife, your kids were running around. It was just very wholesome.
We couldn't have done it without him. Like
No way.
with
Yeah,
No way.
Ava and her two friends
Even
sold
if-
tickets for Terry's helmet.
man.
Amanda sold shirts. Christina ran the gate. Amelia ran the gate.
scoring. Stephanie scored.
Ken
Stephanie
ran
scored.
the. Stephanie was
And
scoring.
registration.
Stephanie wanted to kill people. This clown's got blue numbers on blue plates. Like what kind of? We're
idiot.
firing him, you know. And then you got Ken running the gate. Andy Alexander lifting that gate. Who knows what
and
was
all
that?
the-
80 times a day.
And all the cooking Andy did too.
Yeah.
Andy,
Lord.
Andy,
Fed an army.
get more fajitas.
Yeah,
What-
but Yahida's good. They was good, son.
they were
He was-
good.
they were.
That was good eating.
Oh, he
So,
made a bacon and egg sandwich the next
Every
morning.
morning.
That was on point.
yeah.
And Ken and I, being the same age, we talked about racing as kids, and we talked for 2 hours.
Well, see, and Ken's so humble. You can't get stories about. I'm telling Red. I'm like, look, man, this dude right here had a Team Green ride. Like he was once very fast on a motorcycle, and and Ken's just like, well, that's what they say.
Like, whatever.
He
dude.
talks like
He's
your
by
dad,
far,
though.
He's by far the best brother out of
Oh,
them.
hands down.
Oh yeah, the rest of them suck.
Yeah, they got worse as we had more of them. So.
The first one was the only one that was
It's
right.
like making a copy. You make the first copy and it's real clear, and then the original, and then
then it's
worse
sort
and
of
worse.
blurry.
faded a little.
Starts
with
getting
Kevin, and
blurry.
blurred a little. I don't know what Kyle's
Kyle's
gonna hear
extra
this.
blurry.
Kyle just faded a little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
Kyle slipped on the gear and got on the gate on Sugar Balls Blackman's KTM 350.
The cool part about so my brother had a heart attack in April and was life flighted, saw his feet in a helicopter and then coded. They shocked him. He comes back, and I'm like, oh, that was a big scare for our family. And he has not ridden a motorcycle since then.
Yeah.
So Amelia goes, I think Kyle's talking about riding. I'm like, oh, dude, he's on blood thinners. Like, what is he doing? So
right.
so he rides. And my kids have not seen Kyle in a competitive way. Kyle was pretty solid
No,
back
he
in
was
the day.
a very
Yes, he
solid
was.
pro class.
And so he
Guy.
races. He rides the first moto, and they're like, all right. I said, dude, he hadn't rode practice. I said, give him a couple of motos, and he'll give you a little something. The third moto, him and the funny part, number 93, Chris Swaney was his arch rival. I said, dude, that's Swaney. They were the same age, same class. They were like arch rivals. And Kyle gets the whole shot, leads. Swaney gets him back, and then Kyle mans up and just hucks the big tabletop. Jumps past him. They land. They go up into the tree, and he mans his way past him. He leads, and then he goes, "All right, I'm out."
That was good
He goes,
enough.
"I just want to prove to you that I could pass.
I could still
you."
pass you
And
if I needed to.
My youngest Riley's like, "Yeah," like he'd never seen Uncle Kyle do
He
anything.
dropped
He
the
was-
hat. That's what I thought. I was over.
He
scoring,
manned up on that for a minute.
and like I saw him on the gate, and I was like, "Watch, Kyle's going to drop the hammer on this."
He did. He said, "I'm going to race this one." And he
you only
raced the
need to
one.
do it for a second at this age. Just
Yeah.
it's good to get to feel that
the heart
and then
rate
back
up.
out. That's athletic maturity. Nice.
I mean, you're not living unless you're living.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna have to ride a dirt bike again. I've been so worried about doing it since I broke my shoulder. Like,
Well,
never
what
broke
you want to do
crap.
is live in
We're
fear
still
and
not
wait
sure
out.
it's broken. The doctors are full of shit.
Yeah. One little crash.
Kevin broke
Hey,
his
if I
shoulder.
can do it, y'all can do it.
Yes, I know. You're
Hey,
actually,
Terry
I
was hurt
wondering,
pretty
I don't think
bad.
he's broke, man. Just get up and come on.
it was
I'll get you some
baroque
Advil.
in 8 places.
He
Hey, look
had-
at that.
he
Like,
had
that
8
thing was jacked up.
He
man.
had 8 places where the bone was broken, and we're like, dude, it seems like it's fine. I think just some
No, we
Advil.
stopped. I said, man, pull in the angles. Get me some Advil. Nick goes in there, gets them. I take some, and about 20 minutes in, he goes, man, you're moving your arm pretty good. I think you're
Yeah,
good.
I think you're fine. You
So
should be.
we go to
okay.
his buddy who is a chiropractor, and he's got an X-ray machine, and we go in there, and he turns it on, and he goes, ooh, and I'm like, no, it's so broke. It was
Yeah,
so.
and I knew because historically, when I get him to X-ray something, he'll like come in here. Let me show you something. And well, I can't really tell. You see this white spot here, like this, and I'm standing outside the door, and I hear him go, ooh, and I was like,
Just
oops.
poke it up.
Hey,
You can see it.
sorry about the Advil. It's like,
Yeah, the Advil was lying to
Turns
you.
out I
at
had
that
surgery
point.
the next
So
day. So.
yeah,
Do
so
what I did and wrap electrical tape around.
Yeah,
He
man, just
kind
wrap
of
it
we
around
kind
here.
of did that kind of stuff.
I had to
but-
ride out of the woods like 4 miles and in the back of his motorcycle.
Yeah, that was a
I had
great
video of them riding double. It's awesome.
moment. But ultimately, people were super
Yes.
friendly about us being late. They were super friendly about stopping to
About
water
picking
the
their trash
track.
up and
You're only late if you listed a time schedule. We never listed a time schedule. We
but
really
we
late.
did.
Oh, okay. So
Well, we really didn't say when we'll be done with motos, and
No,
we
no,
truly
for sure.
got it in. We had to cut the motos. The track we know was a little too long.
See, that's
I-
one of the things like
I
opening up
know
a
where
brand
to
new
short-
track. That
I
damn
don't-
track was 3 minutes long. It's a mile long. It's
I
huge.
don't think it's too long. I think he cut it
was
for the
perfect.
50s. Yeah, and I think, and Terry will tell you about
Did you
it.
think it was too long? No. Oh, you did not. Okay,
Well, the
I
lap
thought it
times.
was.
What was your lap time though? They were long as hell.
I'm
Yeah,
right.
Grant was 238. Grant Hoffman, and he was ripping.
So I had
He
to-
won the
so
money race,
Terry and
by
I,
the
if he
way.
was 238, we had to be like 245 or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that's what it was. If Grant was 238, y'all had to have been 245.
That's 7 seconds. I don't.
A pro needs to be sub 2,
I agree.
and a regular guy needs to be 230.
Well, the problem was when that day everybody went out, Grant was sub 2. And then
He really was, and somehow when me and Kevin widened it, we made some things longer.
so
You
he
know,
was 238. We were probably 330s. And then there were some kids on 50s that were probably
They got 20-minute
7
motos
minutes.
in.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were one lap, 20 minutes. I mean, it was. But Terry will tell you, by the end of the day, nobody bitched about a 2 lap. You know what I
They
mean?
didn't complain at all. So, you know, thankfully,
You're gonna throw the.
thankfully, everyone's attitude persevered all the way to the end. I heard nothing but positivity. That's Kevin trying to kill a bug without his
You're
gas.
gonna kill. Now we're never gonna get synced with the video and audio. We were looking for the clap. We'd be like, he clapped 27
no, you just
times.
missed it too, you idiot.
And the wood section put a different twist in it.
I thought so too, man.
What did you
was
think
not-
about the wood section,
It
Terry?
was very slick.
Yeah, I mean, but did you
But it
did
was
you
good.
like it? Would you
Yeah, I
rather
liked
not had it or? Because
liked
I think you leave it. I think it was good. I think
was
that,
good.
I think you might even make it longer, really. But you
You know,
know,
our
Day in the
concern
Dirt,
was
they
cutting
have
the
a-
roots and killing the trees, so we didn't want to go in there and just destroy all his trees. And we can make it a cool dirt bike track, and then those trees
I
fall down.
mean, those.
Yes.
I mean, Day in the Dirt's a 6-minute lap. You know what I mean? Like it's.
But they advertised 70 and 90-minute motos, so we didn't advertise that. And
There's
we
no
also didn't
safety
let
net.
450 people on the track at one time.
Yeah.
Although we could have. We had enough rider turnout to get dang close
For
to
anybody that's never been there, Day in the Dirt is
Awesome.
something you should also attend.
that. You
It is-
should strive to be
It's a
there.
vibe race. Day in the Dirt down south. I don't expect you to go to Glen Helen in California for Thanksgiving, but you can make
Day
it
in
down.
the dirt out east.
Yeah, you could make it down to Day in the Dirt down south in March. And it's a vibe race like that Red Bull puts on. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And their laps are like
It's
6 minutes. It's
yeah.
way longer than what you saw this weekend. And they have
3,000
like
riders.
3,000 riders.
I went to the
70-minute moto or 60-minute motos.
3 days.
Oh, that was Kevin was there, the COVID race. Yeah.
I was
So-
there. Were you there when they shut us down?
Me, Nick, and Kyle were there,
Yeah.
and Robbie. So
And Robbie, yeah.
So we also had a lot of help. I mean, an insane amount of help from Tyler Dickinson, which was Magnum Paving, and he
he
provided.
just showed up out of the woodwork. Like
He's like, "Hey, what do y'all need?" And we're like, "We need water trucks. We need a dumpster. We need bathrooms."
we need light
He goes,
towers,
"Okay."
and then they
He
start
goes,
showing up.
"Okay."
That's it. You're
And,
like,
and
okay.
here it comes. And he wasn't even joking. Like Friday, the one he sent one water truck. and
Thursday night it broke down.
Oh, Thursday night it breaks down.
Friday morning, 6 a.m. his
The
main
mechanic shows up. He starts working on the truck. Then he's like, oh, crud, it's not going to be fixed. I'm sending a second one. So in the meantime, the first truck gets fixed. Now we're running 2 water trucks. And thankfully, Belt General Contractors, Josh Belt, which is Patrick Belt also, they sent their cousin named Brooks and Dunn, Jackson Dunn, Alan Jackson. His name was actually Jackson Dunn, but he's related to Alan Jackson.
He is.
And this dude worked his tail off.
Yeah.
I'm talking sun up till 10:30 at night.
And never drifted. Like, dude, half the battle is finding someone and then just having them stay committed to the position. Don't run off. Like, just do what you're supposed to do and don't go anywhere. And he was right there the whole time.
So he did. He stayed dead on it, and we couldn't have kept up on the dust control.
Everybody came through. We couldn't have done it without our families. Couldn't have done the volunteers. Tyler Dixon came in on all our sponsors. It was amazing.
So Tyler, one of his coolest stories was, "Hey man, I just bought a vintage bike," and we're like,
Okay,
"What?
What are you doing?"
And he's like, "Yeah, check it out." And it was a '79 KX250.
Did you see it, Terry? It's freaking
He
nice.
hadn't raced in 20 years.
I did some work on that bike.
Did you?
Oh, you did?
It's nice.
Yeah. So
It's
so
nice.
that thing ripped. I mean, I heard him get
It
on it
sounded
hard a
great,
couple
too.
times. It sounded great. And so Tyler hasn't raced in forever, and he's like, I think I'm on a race. I just bought this bike. There was like a lot of that going on. Dude's like, yeah, man, I'm riding an 07 CR250.
And
or
Tyler
whatever.
says he's going to Ohio with us for
As he should.
Have you ever been to BMD?
Yeah, Terry's raced up there. Probably one up there.
Yeah.
You know
Years
what?
ago, I saw
And
you
for
there.
the people that are listening here, like all of our Georgia peeps for this, we need a presence up there next
Yeah,
year, man.
man.
We need to get.
Terry will go.
We need
Create
to,
our own little camp, all our
Yes,
people.
because it is. I mean, that is a.
It's one of the best races
badass
on the planet.
event.
Yeah, it's
you know
fun
what I
as
mean?
hell.
And we're gonna. I mean, we need a presence next year. We need to have 20, 30 people.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm ready to go back. I went in 2019.
You won a national title
Yeah,
there. I've never.
sure
I
did.
won that race in 08, but I cannot win it since.
Yeah.
So
I had-
you did
had a blast.
the unthinkable.
It was in the mud.
Yeah, but we're gonna
It don't
put you
matter.
on a bike next year. You win on.
Terry, he's got the bike.
No, I'm talking about you like that.
Oh, give me a bike,
You put
please.
that 95 CR. We put him on the CR250.
Or
you
we
win
could
there.
get this 89 going. It just needs a right side engine case.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's a beauty. That
Yeah.
thing needs to be out.
It's a nice bike. It's only been ridden 5 times.
We're gonna have
It's
to
brand
pull,
new.
We're gonna have extra. You're gonna have to go. Somebody's gonna have to pull another trailer.
I'll go.
Because we gotta have. We're gonna have to have.
17 motorcycles.
I mean,
so
we-
Nick can ride 16 classes and we can race one.
Yeah.
Me and Terry on a shared bike.
I got
So
a habit. I got an addiction.
yeah, it's okay. It's a no judgment zone.
It's
So-
more cowbell.
So I believe the landowners were super happy about the event. They hope that this can be an annual thing. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, they've said next year when we talk about, we do this when we do that, and Andy's the same way. And I think as long as we've hit all of our, our target benchmarks all the way through the process and clean it up, nobody got hurt, no liability issues, the grass needs to be planted, and then we're done.
There's nobody get hurt because we talked about this earlier. Terry, if that was a track you could ride all the time, where else would you go other than that?
I mean, nowadays there's not many tracks, but
But there's nothing out there that's going to hurt you. Like you
No,
can go
there's
out there
not.
and ride. I mean, you could get hurt walking across the street, obviously.
I would
but
like to
said-
shorten up some of those jumps so everybody could jump them in.
the
Grant,
only, but it doesn't matter if you jump. You didn't. Did
it
you ever
didn't
ride
matter.
on it?
No, I never got to ride
So
it.
they were jumping 120
didn't
feet.
I didn't either.
I might have been jumping 50 feet.
I did one
you
lap
know,
in jeans.
not everybody. Like my son, he was there Sunday watching, and he said, the amount of jumps was perfect. There was nobody complaining that, hey, we need more jumps. And
Nobody would
plus-
ever complain that. The track owners now just put them in there because they think everybody wants to ride like a pro, and then everybody gets hurt.
And plus,
Yeah.
it gives more riders my age and
Just a
ability
chance to ride.
Yeah, to ride. And, you can hang it out and not have to worry about crazy supercross jumps.
Yeah, if I wanted to go to that track and jump as hard as I could, let me tell you, that third tabletop down in the corner, that son of a gun was long.
That's a
There's-
booter,
I'm
man.
never getting over that. Like, period.
Hoffman was hitting it, man, and it was so beautiful. It
But-
was just like a painting.
Yeah.
Grass and trees,
I
and
know
then a
the sunset
motorcycle.
was behind him. I
The
mean,
sunset, Red Bull Arch. It was beautiful.
but at the same time, it was not a hard landing if you didn't jump it. Like if I
Yeah.
jumped it 50 feet, 60 feet, and landed, I never felt like, other than when I was riding the XR on the step up, I never felt like I was slamming into one time on the step up. I was on that XR, and I mean, I came around, pinned it down that hill, and I jumped. And I don't know who the flagger was, but when I landed, I was like, like I smashed my big ass smashes that little motorcycle, and it does not like it.
Hey, I'll
Neither
tell
do
you
I.
who doesn't smash the bike itself is Ryder Fenwick.
Yeah.
Yes,
He actually got a hole shot on this
Yeah, I don't know
pile of an XR250.
he weighs 9 pounds.
That's true.
He's 90
He's a
probably,
lightweight.
but he's a good
And he's
250
fast
lighter
as
than
shit.
us.
Yes, then he can fly, and they had their suspension like all.
It was dialed for him
Yes,
somehow.
it was
so
awesome.
Ryder went fast.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
is there
He
anything
pulled a whole
else?
shot on it.
Yeah, that blows me away.
The jump coming from the wood section, you could just it was.
You can
was
hit it as
you know
hard
how
as you
far-
want to.
Yeah,
That was the Lyles Mile
And there was no
The Harry
hard.
Biggins.
it was
and the
perfect.
Harry Biggins.
It was perfect.
Well, Heather, throw that headset on one more time before we just shut her down here. I just want to do you have any final thoughts? Because you gave us the idea of the place. There's a level of calm when you come in there, because I live there, and I remember when me and my wife were driving out there. I'm like, dude, when we got out there, it was just cows and quiet, and the place is super beautiful. And
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So coming from I've had horses for I've been riding for like 25 years. And so you get to appreciate pasture and the calm and the quiet. And the most exciting part about horses for me is just that I don't hear cars. You don't hear commotion. You don't hear, all you hear is birds and stuff.
Pit bikes.
Yeah, but I mean, then you get motorbikes and you get, some of those,
it's probably a similar experience for dirt. You forget
Yeah.
all your troubles. And you
Yeah.
just,
When we're on a
Yeah.
motorcycle,
Yeah.
everything goes away. We don't hear the motorcycle.
yeah.
We're totally focused, so I
Yeah,
can
you're
relate.
dialed in, yeah. And
Everything
that's-
goes away.
I mean, but that's the way I think that level of just the sport itself, right? Level of concentration between motocross and horseback riding is very similar because you're doing something that could kill you, and you need to be paying attention. And there's that part of you in horseback riding where you become one with something that has a mind of its own. And the two of you come together and you say, okay, we're going to do this at the same time, and we're going to accomplish a goal at the same time. And, in the case of one of my horses, I have two horses and I've had them since they were babies and they're in their 20s now. In the case of one of my horses, sometimes he says, no, I don't want to do it at the same time as you. And then I eat dirt.
Yeah.
And
Same, just like a motorcycle.
it's just like
Sometimes
I mean, it
mine's-
really
sounds the
is.
same.
That's the one thing that I'm realizing is that while you're riding something that has an engine and I'm riding something that has a brain, it's almost identical, except I may have had more concussions.
That's
I bet it's
frightening.
equal. I
Mine's a
bet that's
little more-
questionable.
I've
Yeah,
I've had 3 pretty serious concussions riding, and then maybe one other that might not have been so bad.
It
So
wasn't recorded.
maybe 3.5.
Yeah, there you go.
But the peace, that overwhelming peace, I think it comes from the family, because when you, and this is just me, my observations in life, is when you enter someone's house who's never at rest and the person is never at rest, the minute you get onto their property, depending on how sensitive you are to those types of things, you're never at rest. And despite what's going on in this situation with Andy and Victoria, they're at rest to the best that they can.
which is amazing.
It's the most incredible thing. And when I went in there, to meet Victoria and to chat with the both of them for the article, it was just so much. There was just peace. There was peace, and how you have peace in that situation is very. I equate it to God, and having that faith and knowing what's going to happen, that at the end of this life, where you're going in the next, and you get to meet your loved one there, and there was just this real, I mean, we all 3 of us ended up crying together. I mean, it was just that palpable, because it was just, I just without getting emotional myself. And it was just one of the most rewarding and heart-wrenching at the same time. It was all the emotions all at once. But man, Andy, what a rock, and Victoria, what a strong, because even as we're sitting there, and Victoria and I are boo-hooing, I mean, we're just, the two of us are just boohooing, and she, she can't move her arms, and Andy just comes over and is taking care of her because we're both just sitting there boohooing, and Andy's boohooing, and we're all just crying together, and I've never met them before. That's the part of it. It's you're immediately part of their life. As soon as you walk in, that's it. You're part of their life because you want to be, not because they're requesting it. You get there and want to be because you want to be part of whatever it is that they have.
And that they need.
You just want to be like, here, do you need my blood? I'll cut my vein open. I mean, that's the level of, almost dedication. And like I said, I've never been to a motocross race before. I've never really been exposed to the sport. If this is the only race I ever go to, my opinion of racers, fans, family is very, very high. I don't think I have encountered another sport currently and I've done a lot trying to find my sport, right?
Yeah.
Because when I got the horses, it was finally like, yay, we found it.
Yeah.
And my parents were relieved until they saw the bill.
To the bills.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, but I've never encountered another sport where the people just hit that expectation super high. Mm-hmm. Like they knew the assignment. Everyone knew the assignment. And even when I was chatting with Troy, he was like, he's like, I didn't even realize, he goes, I didn't know anything about the charity thing. He goes, but I'm really glad I'm here and I'm participating in this. And even when I spoke with Triumph, the guy on the ground, and just in case anyone from Triumph is listening to this, your guy did not speak on behalf of the company.
Right.
I want to be really clear. He's not going to get in trouble.
He only spoke of publicly available
I asked him
information.
publicly available information, so just so he doesn't get in trouble. But when I spoke with the guy, he said, he goes, I just got a phone call that said, hey, we need bodies on the ground and we need this stuff. And so I'm here. He goes, when I heard about the charity, he's like, I'm more on board now than I was when I got here.
Yeah.
When I heard why we were doing it. So everybody was on board and everybody was, I wish that I was more of a master of the English language to properly articulate exactly.
I think you're gonna do just fine.
Thank
You're already
you.
telling me, you're selling me. So
Yeah.
I already think we need to forward this on to the AMA's magazine. I think it would be a great tie into what they do. And
Yeah, I think
have
so
that
too.
published in the
Mitch
magazine.
Boehm as the editor up there.
I mean,
I'd love
it
to
was an
talk to
AMA
him.
event. It was a charity event.
Yeah.
She's an outsider looking in, and has a great opinion of our sport. I think you could be on to something.
And Mitch understands capturing the essence of an event. I think
Yeah.
you just described the essence.
And we're going to be
perfectly.
so on board when we look up articulate and figure out what that means.
I don't know what it is.
As
Agriculture.
soon as we know.
So it's just
And I
like, is that
should-
where you grow crops and stuff?
I'm hoping aerate. That's what you're looking for.
He's looking for air raid.
Dang it.
I'm hoping that I can get this written. I can, once I have all the information, I can write an article pretty quickly. So I'm hoping to have it up tomorrow late afternoon.
Well, why don't
Wow.
you describe where people could find that? I mean, it's
So
We're going to share it, obviously. But
yeah.
Yes.
So the article. So I write for a tiny little podunk news, a news site called
they don't listen to this, obviously.
Cobb Voice. For apparently, according to Nick, no one can read. So it's COBB VOICE.
I included, nobody get mad at me. I've included us in that.
I write political stuff as well. I just started kind of getting into more features, and so I write under a fake name because you just don't know who's crazy.
Like
Yeah.
Sugar Balls?
yeah, like Sugar Balls Blackman.
Yeah,
That's his name.
That's his name.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So
Sugar Balls,
I'm getting more into.
Who knew there'd be another one?
Yeah, I'm getting more into I'm probably gonna have to use my real name if I ever want to actually make this a career. So
And the title of your series, though.
the title of this series that I started with Frank is called Heroes Among Us.
Heroes Among Us.
And
So
the thing that's great about it is that the heroes are the entire motocross community.
at this
it.
point,
You
you're
got it.
100%
100% right.
accurate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
Yes.
whole community.
Yeah.
For sure. And then when they see a need, they come and meet it.
Yeah.
And thankfully you came on Saturday. It was packed.
Yeah, there was so
So
many.
you got to see
It's the
full power.
It's the best of us in the middle. Like I said, I write politics stuff, and in the middle of what is probably one of the tumultuous election seasons and election cycles we've ever had.
Really?
I don't know if anybody knew this. There's an election.
When is that election? Is it coming up soon?
Everyone vote,
If
please.
you have not voted,
Please
dear
vote.
Lord, please vote.
Vote early and often.
Vote
Yes.
early and often. And if you have an
No,
ancestor
you
or
do it
someone
once.
that has died and they're still on the voter roll,
Let's
no,
do
I'm
it
just
again.
kidding. Don't do that. It's illegal. It's
no,
against the law.
thank you.
But
We were in South Dakota, and I was just writing down names at that cemetery. What was that cemetery we were at?
Yes. Well, I don't know. Remember the name.
hey, if you want, if you
You
want
got the
stats,
DOB and everything.
If you want
He's
stats
joking.
on our voter rolls in Georgia, I got plenty of stats
This
on
is
it.
South Dakota. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, you're voting? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you were born in 1747.
I'm friends with Barry Higgins. They're like,
my
oh,
last name's
okay.
Higgins. Leave me alone.
You came over on the Mayflower to
Yes.
race motocross.
That makes
Yes.
sense. That makes
Fun
sense.
fact, by the way, my family supposedly is part of the founding families of Ohio.
Right on.
Whoa.
The mighty Ohio.
So
I'm glad they left. 'cause
Royalty.
it's boring there
apparently,
Cross that river
I can
every
go
year.
to college there for free. So if I ever want to go get my PhD, I
Let's
think
do that.
I might
You
try
should
that.
do
It's
that.
now.
time.
Should.
It's
And
time.
you can call
I
me
mean,
Doctor Heather.
They have a college.
exactly.
Oh, yeah. like
Dr.
a
Call
pilot.
me Doctor.
I think they have a football team at a college in Columbus.
Something like
Yep.
that.
If it doesn't have handlebars, we don't really care. But
You mean what about the Hall of Fame?
yeah, they do have
Boom.
that.
They've
Hey,
got the
hey.
Hall
And they
of
have
Fame
the
in
Motorcycle Hall of Fame,
just said that.
which is
Yeah.
Pickerington.
Well,
They have-
actually, I
they
was
have all
talking
the
about
Hall of
Canton. I
Fames.
was talking about the football Hall of
They
Fame.
have the Football Hall of Fame. They have the
Canton, Ohio, yeah.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
This Terry
Isn't
brought
that in
in.
Cleveland?
I'll switch gears 100% on you. Ready to switch
Here,
gears?
do you want to go back to
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, I guess. Maybe.
No, screw Terry.
But Terry brought in a picture of him,
Way to go.
Oh, my
Heather.
gosh.
Oh, can't take you anywhere.
1982 ball ground motocross. Terry hole shotting. The only time, maybe, is it the only time you beat Robbie Travis?
When it mattered, though, the points were on the line.
This did matter. This race did.
Yes.
Yeah, you beat Robbie Travis, who was Georgia's one of the faster boys around here.
And I just had to share this with Kevin because of his dad,
Yeah.
who had ball ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, ball ground, man.
Bob Ross was in attendance. If you look there,
Bob
Really?
Ross is
Right.
the flagger right there, pointing to a tire or
very
something.
hefty Bob
With the
Ross.
sunburn on.
You know,
Poor guy.
Travis,
God.
Travis, Robbie,
Who is that guy?
his
Robbie
dad,
Travis.
Truman.
Yes.
Truman
Remember
Travis.
Truman Travis, Toyota.
Truman
Yep.
Toyota or
Got
Travis
our
Toyota.
Toyota
Who
from
was the greatest motocross photographer there ever was.
Is that right?
Truman.
Are you serious?
Yes.
They lived behind where my parents lived, right? Across the creek from my parents. And so it was, it was a populated area. It wasn't like anybody had a bunch of land. It's subdivisions. And even way back then, there's houses that were built in the probably 60s or 70s or whatever. And there was always a big stink because their neighbors would complain about Travio riding back there. And Truman was like it got all legal. And back then he's like, I don't give a shit. I'll spend whatever I have to spend. You know what I mean? Like
My boy's gonna ride his motorcycle.
and he, they basically wound up saying there at that time,
Number 88.
if it's between these hours, we can't say anything to him. And the police would just sit out there and watch. They got so many complaints.
Because it was pretty impressive to watch. Number
Yeah.
one, Robbie Travis wide open on a whatever he was riding at the time. In this picture, it looks like a Yamaha or Suzuki.
Yeah, that was the 81, was he? 125?
See,
I was
not
happy
that
to
he
see
thought
him
about it.
there. Like I was, it's sign up, and I heard somebody call my name, and I turned around. And I was like, "Oh shit, that's Travio! I haven't seen him in
Everybody.
15 years."
Dude,
you know?
everybody came out.
I was like, oh, is that Jim Brannon? I saw, y'all aren't, this story's not going to mean anything to any of you, but Bad Dad, Bobby Bishop. Do you know that name?
I remember the name.
My dad had to kick him out of our track multiple times. He loved my dad, but Bad Dad, he goes, I'm 8 years old. I'm Bad Dad. I'm like, Bad Dad is still alive. Bad Dad urinated on the trophies at Rome Cycle Ranch.
oh my God.
He got so mad and he urinated on my dad. My dad told me that story. I'm like, he got
Wow.
urinated on all the big tall
That's
ones.
a
He was like,
statement.
pissed all over those trophies. And
That's
I'll never
quite the
forget.
statement.
Bad Dad Bobby Bishop's still alive. He's parked up right by the
And
start
you got
line.
to see him.
I walked by. I'm like, freaking Bad Dad. I haven't seen that guy since I was
I like
15.
people's demeanor and your,
It fits.
like whatever is so different because I've only got mad once or twice in my life, but
Right.
when I did, I never thought about pissing on something.
He pissed on.
Like I never
No,
thought
I don't
I'm
have
in
that.
front of everybody. Like it's not like it's in a bathroom. They're in the
but you know it
registration
happens,
area.
Like, periodically, you see somebody get arrested or whatever for
Because he's Bad Dad. He
like,
does what he
peeing,
wants.
like
That
I never think man.
Piss on them.
Literally piss on
I will
them.
urinate on your trophies.
Hey, that cliche came from Cycle Ranch back in
Rome Cycle Ranch.
Rome
That's
Cycle
where he
Ranch.
did it.
that the whole world says piss on that now because of that.
Yeah,
Old
because
man.
of Bobby Bishop.
Bad
Yeah.
dad Bobby
Another
Bishop.
Bobby was Bobby Downs, who came out there and ran a 0-turn
Dang
mower
right
for
he did.
about 60 hours.
Do not
He
do
did.
it.
Homeboy was not playing. He goes, whatever needs to be mowed, I'll mow it. And then he gave us all trash bags for the gate.
And then his family owns a Christmas tree farm. He goes, I'm giving Andy a Christmas tree. I'm like, obviously.
That
Because
was
you're an
cool.
awesome guy. He's just,
That was cool.
I mean, the outpouring of love. I know it sounds so cheesy, but it's nothing more than that. Like everybody was so into it and wanted to help Andy. And
You know what? If
you said it too, man. Andy is magnetic.
Yeah.
Andy was one of my. Like, as soon as I met him, I'm like, man, I really like this guy. He's funny,
Yeah.
and we hit it off.
Good
and
looking.
Just he's responsible for a lot of things. He is good
I
looking.
know he's married, but that
So is
doesn't-
Nick.
hey,
Don't take his saws off.
I
He'll
can
chase
look,
you
I
down
can
across
look,
the field.
Don't touch.
Yes, exactly. Andy is very
Not that there's
fit.
anything wrong with that.
And I'll tell you one thing about Andy. He's one of the last. They call them smoke divers. They are like the SEAL Team 6 guys of our. He's one of the last guys that has qualified and made it through that program. The most elite firefighter you can possibly be. You're a bad dude.
That's scary.
They start with 200 guys and they finish with about 8.
You know,
He's
it's
one
good
of
to
them.
have him there
He's a
in
bad
case
dude.
Greg Reed catches somebody's feet on fire.
Yes, or jams
got
a
this
hot
guy.
dog
Or
down their
somebody-
throat.
Yeah, and has to smoke
Swallows a hot
dive.
dog.
Yeah.
I had to smoke dive in there and put that dude's
were.
feet out.
But I forgot to tell y'all who saved the night or saved the day was Lonnie Reese Moose.
Big
No, for real,
Moose.
Moose.
He
What
went
was the
around-
story?
About
He,
Greg.
he wanted to go around and kill
He
Greg.
found Greg's canopy, tent, whatever, and pulled the stakes out and let the tent fall on Greg while he was asleep.
Perfect.
You can always count on
He
Moose.
got he,
That needed to happen.
His
We-
best
hey,
thing-
we moved a tent. We
did.
didn't know how to set it back up. We moved it, and I think the guy did not suffocate.
so until last Saturday night, Greg didn't know who did that to his
That's
tent.
perfect.
40 years, 42 years later.
42 years later, he's gonna find. You gonna find out. You gonna learn today.
You about
Yeah,
to
we
learn
told
today.
you.
That's so good.
Hey, Greg, you don't really like Greg's one of those guys though, and I love him. I've known him forever. You don't want to be on the bad side of a prank from him because he's not. He's got.
He's like
he-
the jackass. Like
He
A
has
lot of
painful.
energy.
He has no stop. He's
Yeah.
got, and he will go a long way. Like when he commits to a joke or a
Years.
bit or a thing,
Years.
he'll build something for it. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy that'll
Yeah,
like.
he scared me to death back then when all this went down.
I mean, he would spend 80 hours putting together a motor. Well, first off, for a long time, he had the
World's
world's
longest.
longest motorcycle. Like he took this motorcycle and
I do
stretched
remember
it.
that. People are still giving to the event. I
It's
just
when-
got 2 credit cards.
It was in the.
very cool. The link.
the link.
It's a very long link.
It's a long link, but it's on Facebook under the Great Escape.
Yeah,
It's right
or
there.
we'll put it on our website, which is I have not done that yet.
His motorcycle
Great
was in
Escape
the
Gran Prix.com.
Ripley's Believe It or Not
Yep.
thing
Yeah,
for,
yeah, I already
in
do remember
Tennessee for
Believe
the
it.
longest motorcycle. And then one year in Daytona,
Jack
he
Palance.
took a jet ski body and bolted it on somehow to a motorcycle frame and was riding it down Main Street.
Which still happens today. There was a guy at Mid Ohio racing
Yeah.
a jet ski in the middle of that field.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this guy
Greg
on?
Reed did that back in the early 90s, mid 90s, something like
Yeah.
that. Like he's committed. He commits.
Yeah. to whatever
dumb
level
stuff.
it
And whatever
requires.
bit it is, he commits to it.
Was he married? Has kids?
A million times, but he's been married. But
He
he's
commits.
got
The only
a
thing he
couple
doesn't
kids.
commit is to his marriage.
He doesn't commit to the commitment.
the
he
ultimate
commits.
commitment.
I'm here to ask all the right
And
questions.
that's,
Good call.
I don't know. I mean, when I say it's probably not that many times, 6, 7, whatever.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
average.
not a lot.
It's the 80s, dude.
I'm going to go outside right now, even though it's sitting live, and something will be done to my truck.
Yeah, he's let the air out of your
Yeah.
tires. There's a
Yeah,
switchblade
even
in
though
there.
it's not live, he
Yeah,
still
he's
has
still-
I
sabotaged
heard you
you.
talking
Yes.
about me.
Yes,
still going to get me.
I hope he don't burn my truck.
he will. He'll throw it in the fire. He will throw your junk in the fire.
Hey, he'd be so cool and nonchalant about it. Like, yeah, man, he made this joke, and then we were all cutting back and forth. Like, he was making jokes about me, and I burned his truck to the ground.
Whoa.
And then he,
Because that was fair. That was the timely response.
Proper response? Yeah, man.
yeah.
Yeah, man. You burn a man's truck down.
Yeah. So next year it's gonna.
Think so.
They're saying it's gonna
Think so.
happen.
I was sitting there thinking earlier, like, what is our next event going to be? It's Day in the Dirt, right?
I hope there's nothing for a minute.
I know
I don't think he got anything.
Ah, that's good.
I've got 3 before the end of the year, but you guys.
Every single thing I got.
Yeah,
needs
but we
worked
may
on.
have to go to Charlotte.
Charlotte. Do you
Why'd
hear
you
this
say
guy
like
throwing the southern draw?
Charlotte.
We might, what's in
Wait,
Charlotte?
Kevin's
Red
going up
Bull
there for a
race.
Red Bull. They're having, what is the race up there you're doing it for?
It's a go-kart race.
Yeah.
It's like flute.
Hey, do we have any go-karts?
This clown, Terry, probably go fast on a go kart.
Do we have any go-karts?
Dude, you guys
we
could
can
totally
race?
get in on this. It's called something non-stock. So it's weird themed go-karts. Here we
This
go.
is the dude.
Here
This is
we-
him or Greg
Terry,
Reed.
You just saw
Terry-
it happen. Holy.
Find us, the wheels are turning, baby. Find us a go-kart. We're racing this thing.
This is the
I could
dumbest
I could
thing.
totally get
What do we
y'all
got?
in.
Like 7 days, 8
November.
days.
I've got a coworker who
3 weeks.
races go-karts. He's real-
So we already got a chassis.
These are not
leftover
serious though.
parts.
These are themed.
John loves to
stupid,
hate me.
dumb.
What I love
Or
is
he
having
hates
7 to 8 days to
No,
get ready.
John doesn't love to hate me. He hates to love me.
He
That's what
loves
does.
it too at the
Yeah.
same time.
All we
Because
need,
we're going.
all we need is
Supercharger,
And I-
alcohol.
Cheesy little go-karts, but it's all the theme and your how you come
Yeah,
up with
but
it.
Have you ever
Nick
watched any
and Terry
Red Bull
together,
events?
we're gonna win.
Like
We're gonna look
Plutarchs and
good.
stuff.
Sure.
Hey, all we need is an idea,
All he needs is a theme,
a theme.
and it's on.
We got a
I don't
thing.
want any more. Let's
Winners take y'all, baby. We got a thing.
Let's
You gotta,
chill
you gotta
for.
have a little like a presentation with it. Like they like.
Do you know
topical.
who's sitting right
Yeah,
here?
I do. No, I'm
Like,
saying
what do you
they're
mean?
This dude probably won
just
the world of
topical.
wheels
you could,
more
you
than
could be,
once.
You could be dumb
So-
and dumber. You could be all, like that kind of funny nonsense. You don't have to win.
Nick's like, what do you mean?
What do you mean we don't have to win?
Nick Blackman.
Yeah, he's Nick Blackman. We have to win.
Yeah.
But you got
We can
Terry.
be the Brock Glovers.
Yes, we can be the Brock Glover and the hair ruffling on
my-
flight.
He's so pretty. Brock is so pretty.
It was awesome.
He's a good looking dude. He's fit. He's
Nothing,
still
there's
fit.
anything wrong with that.
He
He's
won
very-
Mid-Ohio.
He's very particular about bikes,
his
how
hair.
they look. When we were doing the Legends and Heroes,
Oh, for
if
sure.
he's seen a sticker crooked, he would point it out. Or
Hey, man,
Let me tell you.
that ain't how I put that sticker
That
on.
dude
a lot of
still
Thanks for noticing,
hauls
Brock.
the mail, too. He rode at Mid-Ohio this year on an old Honda.
75 Elsinore.
We didn't
125.
know it was him, and we were watching him, and he's 61, 62 years old. And we were like,
Who the hell
"Holy
is
shit,
that?"
that dude is so
gotta be-
smooth.
no, it's
Look
gotta
at
be
him,
Brock.
like."
It was on a Honda too, so like,
Yeah.
didn't make sense. He was on anything but a Yamaha. But,
And then somebody
But
goes,
early,
"That's
he
Brock
rode a
Glover."
Honda.
right.
Yeah,
So
he was on fire. So
You good? You want to shut this thing down? I think I'm not going to get Ryan Holiday on. I won't track him through this. It's late. It's beyond his bedtime.
yeah,
even though
let's
he's in
let's
California.
save him for
Yep.
next week
But
because
we-
there's a lot to talk about.
And
Right
then
there.
all you guys that have not heard this for 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, appreciate you waiting. This has been like we've had a packed week. The
We weren't
donations-
not doing shows because we were sitting on the couch,
Yeah, you guys went to England, and I went to Day in the Dirt, and then we had
and
to
then
get
we
this
were
race
straight
done.
into a track build and to go from
And
a
take it all
pasture
back down.
to a build to executing a race to deconstruction. I mean, it's a lot.
I will say when we were out there, I'm like, it was still Andy's property. It was still whatever. But whenever that Friday came in, that turned into a full-fledged populated city with its own little life.
the night lights, the people playing music,
Oh,
like
yeah,
it was
like-
jamming.
Next
They were
year, I
doing their
think
thing.
we
It was like
do
Talladega. It
the,
was like mini Talladega.
next
Seriously
year. I
was.
think we do more than one band. I think we do a band on Friday night.
Sure.
And we do something. We play the movies on the big screen, like Winners Take Y'all, and
On any Sunday.
on any
I
Sunday.
loved
Friday
on
night.
any Sunday theme playing
Did you hear that in the
on
morning?
Sunday.
Yeah.
But I wondered how many people got it. 'cause
Well, they
it's-
played that, and he also played the Great Escape theme from the movie The Great
Yes.
Escape.
hey, Kevin, do you remember Bailey Kroom that raced with
Absolutely.
us? We could get him out there.
Does he play?
He's very good. He plays.
He's a,
Hey.
he plays
Oh,
We'll
wow.
music.
Outstanding.
listen, we've
Oh, I
already
didn't
talked
know
about
that.
it. We got the brick. I've already booked the Greg Reed band coming out there, the Reed brothers,
Perfect.
for next year.
Hey, what
good.
about Mike? Not Mewey. From Mid Ohio. It may not be Mike. It's
Pelletier?
no. Who
No,
runs,
the guy, the AMA guy that sings.
who runs Mid?
Oh, he was coming and he didn't come.
yeah. What was
Mike
his-
Burkeen.
Burkeen.
Yeah,
yes.
he was coming until the last minute.
He's good. He plays and sings.
He's a
good.
one man show. He'll jump in with some other guys. We'll step it up. Everything's going to get leveled up from the no disrespect
Next
to
year
Jackson
we're
and
having
Crush It. I want to add a
karaoke
second
for
guy.
sure.
Please do.
Okay,
We're
RV
karaoke.
karaoke. That means Johnny ain't doing those 60 hours of bush hogging.
I'm hoping we'll have
That
more
means
help.
Johnny ain't
more
doing
equipment.
40 hours of bobcatting. I only had 12 hours on the dozer, so Kyle had the other 30. So if we can minimize those,
You know what Andy said?
what?
Andy said, you know what would be really great?
Here we go. Andy said, "What would be really
If
great?"
they could change the track up every
No,
year.
no.
Oh, did he say that?
This guy?
He did say that to make
Hey, just
Hey, nothing, knows nothing about motocross. He's like,
I do know of 2 changes we're going to make.
Yeah.
reverse
Just because I can see it.
just
Yeah,
go
Terry
backwards.
says reverse it.
Could.
Step downs, tabletops going the other way, Harry Biggins. It might be a Barry Higgins if you go the other way.
the
know what I'm
sign would
saying?
probably change on its own.
Yeah, I think
Like, you
so.
wouldn't even have to do
You wouldn't even have
anything
to do anything.
to-
Just
the
the
sign
letters
just-
would
yeah.
rearrange.
That's the way
Very
that's
Higgins.
the way dyslexia works.
Yes,
It's true.
It is how it works.
That's
You
true.
reverse it. So
You don't need a doctor. We know things.
we do know things, and we are official.
Doctorate. Doctorate.
Whatever.
Is that when
Yeah.
a woman gets a doctorate? Is that what you call it?
That's
The
what
woman?
it's called.
PhD.
PhD. So, but thankfully, it was a good event. I was super nervous on Sunday. I actually took time to stand there and just soak it in. I
Good.
dropped some gates. I had no idea how
Did
to.
the star card? You got
Yeah, I
all
did.
over
I
the
was a
place.
monster girl, and I had no
Yep.
idea what I was doing at first.
I did Monster Girl, one of them.
Yeah.
I let Nick Monster Girl one of them. We let Rhett stomp the gate. There's
yeah.
a video from Verb, I think, or actually might have been Moto Playground.
Playground.
Threw down this video, and Rhett is stomping the gate like he's getting paid to destroy it. I mean, his foot comes up like chest high, and then pow!
He's stomping out those years of
kicks it.
frustration of being John Watkins' son.
Yes, he's dialed in on hating dad, and he's going to execute. But
Thinks
yes,
about it all day long.
Kevin, excellent event. Great
No.
Escape
See-
Grand Prix motocross.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
time through.
I wanted
Perfect.
to tell y'all personally, like I saw, oh, Kevin, such a great event. I can't fix that, but like all I can say is you guys working alongside you it was awesome. It was fun as hell. Every
Well, that's the way it
step of
goes
the
with this show. Nobody really knows John and I. It's always,
Yeah.
Kevin's got
Well,
a new-
Kevin
I
said,
I don't like that though. I don't like my brother not getting the credit. Both my brothers, my
Hey,
wife, my kids.
can I tell you
everybody.
how many times that John and I have been somewhere and somehow they know that we know you and they go, hey, you know Kevin's got a new show.
yes.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
all
Kevin
I can
has
say
a
is
new show.
I'm at the races.
Kevin's
the
a
races.
podcast
And we're
originator.
like, hey, and I can tell you 1,000% that John and I always go, really?
Yes.
I don't know anything about it.
And what was his last name? We'll look it up.
Never heard of him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to check into that. I loved everybody. Never heard
So,
of the guy.
Terry, thank you for being here. Heather, thank you for
Awesome.
being here.
Thanks
Yes.
for writing that.
If
I'm so-
anybody,
Thanks for coming out. Both of you guys, thanks for coming out to the race.
I'm just so happy I could just be a small part of it.
What if Heather goes back
dude,
and
you
just
aren't a
writes,
small part of it.
like,
for real.
she's just saved all the bad stuff and writes
Just
this complete
scathing.
hatchet
Just
like,
destroys us. That would be
Right.
so good.
Just tear us a new one. I mean, that's what,
Disrespectful.
that is what would be highly accurate and on point.
we get indicted.
What I
tomorrow.
learned is there's a lot of ego and narcissism, and these guys did this charity
They
just
think
for
they're better than
themselves.
everybody, and they just go out there
They
and
make fun of country
rip
people.
up.
And
They rip up people's
then
land.
they
And
win
Nick
on-
Blackman did nothing
They
to
did,
help
yeah, the
anything.
whole
He just
time.
rode 9 races and that was it.
Yeah.
And then he was left with the purse and nobody actually
That's
won
right.
anything.
That's a solid take.
Solid.
I did work, and I shook babies and kissed hands.
That's it. We're done.
Shook babies.
Thanks for listening. See you. At
Winners
the next
take y'all.
We love y'all.
Until next time.